Chapter 7:16. Outside the gap, Yi Chen and the other four could see what was inside. There were spirit plants everywhere, and spirit trees were all over the place. But after entering, they realized that the place they were in had nothing to do with what they were seeing. It was obvious that those sceneries were refracted from the space, and they did not know where they were in the forbidden place. This place was a boundless plain. Strong gales whistled through the air, creating a sharp piercing sound. "Be careful, we are already inside the spell." Qing Liu was very knowledgeable, so she could tell with one glance that there was a massive spell covering the whole plane, and there were a lot of smaller spells within it. Because of the high level of the spell, it had already merged with the nature. Without great eyesight and knowledge, one would not be able to tell. This should be a mimicry spell. Yi Chen nodded.
Hey, you know?
Qing Liu looked at Yi Chen with surprise. The fact that Yi Chen knew about the spell had already surprised her a lot. But he not only knew about the spell, he even knew what kind of spell it was. There were a lot of spells, and one of them was the mimicry spell. It could use the power of the spell to mimic all kinds of living beings, such as humans, beasts, or some other weird living beings. The power of these simulated living beings would be related to the rank of the spell. The higher the rank of the spell, the more powerful they would be. The more powerful the spell could even mimic living beings with the power of a life and death realm warrior and kill them. "I know a little," Yi Chen said vaguely. His soul power was 5 times more powerful than normal people, and its quality was equivalent to the soul power of a life and death realm warrior. Naturally, he could tell if there was a spell on the plane. As for being able to tell the type of the spell, it was because of the spell knowledge that the Battle King had imprinted in his brain. He only needed to sense a little bit to know that it was a mimicry spell. "All right, let's go." Qing Liu put away her surprise and said to the four. "Yes, teacher." Yang Fengfeng was not surprised at all, since Yi Chen had a lot of secrets. After walking for a while, the 5 saw a grey-white stone tablet. There were 4 big words written on it: Grey Wolf Plain. Qing Liu said, "If I have guessed it right, this should be the Grey Wolf spell set up by the 4 Extreme Emperors Grey Wolf King. What it mimics is a demonic wolf. Everyone, please be careful." After walking for a while, the wind on the plain was getting stronger and stronger. Howl. In the distance, 7 gigantic greenish-grey wolves, each the size of an adult elephant, ran over. These gigantic wolves had extremely long fur, and when the wind blew, it looked like greenish-grey flames were burning. Their eyes were ferocious and cruel, and they flickered with a blood-red light. The first one to jump over was the wolf on the left. It threw out a claw attack, and the green-grey claw light covered all 5 of them. Its battling power was not weaker than normal Sea of Souls realm master-level warriors. "Die." Qing Liu ignored it. She waved her right hand and threw out a palm attack. That condensed palm power was like crystal, sweeping across the ground. Including the other wolves, all of them were shattered by that horrifying palm power. On the ground, there was a deep plow mark. Half-step King Warrior Zhen Yuan was indeed horrifying. Yi Chen finally knew the power of the half-step King Warrior. Not to mention the others, just their Zhen Yuan alone was already something that peak-level late Seas of Souls realm warriors could not compete with. It could already be solidified, and the density of the Zhen Yuan had increased by more than 5 times. Besides that, Yi Chen realized that the space inside the forbidden place was more than 10 times more stable than the space outside. Normally, the attacks from master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors would be able to twist the space. But inside the forbidden place, even Qing Liu, who was a half-step king warrior, could not move the space at all. Qing Liu had also sensed the stability of the space, so she frowned slightly. The 5 of them flew in the sky at a moderate speed. Before those wolves could even get close, they had already been shattered by Qing Liu, who was a half-step king warrior. However, it was very obvious that the power of the Ash Wolf formation had just begun to show. At the end of the horizon, densely packed black shadows were moving over like a black tide. When they got closer, they realized that they were all huge ash wolves. With a rough glance, the number of ash wolves that were running over was at least 800, if not 1,000. The surging demonic energy caused the sky above the ash wolf plains to be pitch black. One wouldn't be able to see their fingers in front of them. Only pairs of red eyes could be seen, as though they were vengeful ghosts. Everyone, be careful. Try not to get separated. Right then, Qing Liu did not dare to be careless anymore. These wolves that were made with the power of the spell did not have long-range attacking power. It seemed like they could only fight in close combat. However, there were almost 1,000 Sea of Souls Realm Master-level wolves jumping over, so no one dared to be careless. Mysterious Sky Spell. The wolves could not attack from a distance, but Qing Liu could. She formed a spell with both of her hands, and a shocking Jin Yuan vibration spread out from her hands. Go. After forming the spell, Qing Liu pushed both of her hands toward the wolf pack. Pap. There was no earth-shattering sound, but a weird palm print appeared in the middle of the moving wolf pack. It covered hundreds of meters in radius, and at least dozens of wolves had been killed by it. With one attack, she had killed dozens of master-level Sea of Souls realm wolves. She must be one of the top warriors among the half-step king warriors. Major Phoenix Cut, Burning Sky Fist. Yang Fengfeng and the leader of the mysterious mountain Lin Gaoming had also thrown out their attacks. They had both killed 7 to 8 wolves, which was not even 1/3 of what Qing Liu had done. Then, Murong Qingcheng used her Dark Devour to devour 6 to 7 wolves. This attack of hers was still far from completion, but judging on group killing power, it was already not that much weaker than Yang Fengfeng and Lin Gaoming's. Once it reached completion, its power would not be underestimated. Thunder Devour. Yi Chen used his Jin Yuan to form a huge black thunder ball. He shot it out, exploding in the middle of the wolf pack. The crazy thunder devoured their bodies, killing more than 20 wolves within a second as he chased after Qing Liu. She is indeed the unbeatable being below the half-step king warrior level. Qing Liu glanced at Yi Chen, feeling very surprised. The wolves were running at a very fast speed. After 2 rounds of attacks, they had arrived in front of them, surrounding the 5 of them. Awoo! Awoo! A shrill wolf howl was heard as all of the wolves started to attack the 5 of them. That powerful claw light filled the sky. Kill. There were still 7 to 8 white-headed wolves left. Qing Liu took the lead and threw out her ace attack. Wherever she went, the wolves would be shattered one after another. She was unstoppable. Yi Chen and the other 3 formed a circle and charged into the wolf pack. After all, 2 fists would not be able to fight against 4 hands, not to mention 700 to 800 wolves. Even so, there were just too many wolves, and all of them were at master-level Sea of Souls realm. It would be impossible to avoid all of the attacks. Not to mention the 4 of them, even Qing Liu had been attacked by the wolves from time to time. It was just that her protective Jin Yuan was way too powerful, and those wolves' attacks had been blown away instead, landing on other wolves. Boom! Yi Chen had already been attacked dozens of times. His protective Jin Yuan was shaking, making a cracking sound. The other 3 were even worse, their faces starting to turn pale. No, there are just too many of them. If this continues, even if we can kill them all, we would be wounded as well, which would not be good for the future. With that thought in mind, Yi Chen did not plan to hold back anymore. 3-sword attack. Pointing out his sword finger, the gold sword on Yi Chen's back took out of its scabbard. It split into 3, turning into 3 beams of gold light and shooting out like lightning. Pooh! 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 It was like cutting rice straws, as the wolves fell down one after another. Before, Yi Chen's kill count was only 2/3 of Qing Liu's, but right now, it was already above her. It did not mean that his power was already more powerful than her, it was just that the defensive sword spell was too powerful. It was not like the normal attacks, where he would have to pause for a second after each attack. However, the defensive sword spell was completely controlled by soul power, and there was no pause at all. Wherever it went, it would be more horrifying than a lawnmower. This is the defensive sword spell. Qing Liu's pupils shrunk. With such a huge movement, it was impossible for her not to notice it. Yi Chen's killing speed was unimaginable. A normal defensive sword spell would not be this powerful. No matter how stupid she was, she knew that Yi Chen must be a soul warrior. The defensive sword spell's power would increase exponentially in his hands. 500. 300. 100. Soon, There were only less than 100 wolves left out of the 800. The density of the wolves had decreased a lot, and the pressure on Murong Qingcheng and the other two had decreased a lot as well. Landing print. Qing Liu once again formed a spell. In the midair, a 100-meter square crystal palm print appeared, smashing down at an extreme speed. The second it landed on the ground around it started to shake. A circular shockwave spread out in all directions. Out of the less than 100 wolves, half of them were killed. The rest of the wolves were much easier to deal with, as they were all shattered. Waiting until all the wolves had been killed, Qing Liu let out a breath and said to Yi Chen with a smile, "With your power, you would be able to threaten even normal half-step king warriors. This trip to the graveyard, perhaps you would be the key." Facing a powerful enemy, Qing Liu would definitely be stalled by the demi-king warriors and would not be able to take care of them. But with Yi Chen there, it would be much easier. Basically, no one below the demi-king warrior would be his opponent. And normal demi-king warriors, Yi Chen would be able to use his defensive sword spell to fight with them. "I will try my best." Yi Chen nodded. Then, the five of them continued to move forward. In front of the Grey Wolf Plain was a lava land. The whole world was red, and there would be hot lava shooting out from time to time, burning the sky red. Caw, 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 in the sky, horrifying bird cries were heard. Countless massive firebirds jumped toward the skinny elder and the young man with the colored symbol on his forehead. Their faces were slightly flushed. Although it was not dangerous, it was not easy either. These firebirds were stronger than the wolves on the Kanglang Plain. Their speed was also faster than the wolves. When they swooped down, they were even faster than lightning. If it were not for their tyrannical strength, they would have already fallen here. 5-symbol palm. The young man's body was surrounded by the colored symbol, blocking out the firebird's attacks. Meanwhile, he himself pushed his Jin Yuan and threw out a palm attack. Pap, pap, pap. 5 twisted symbols were thrown out in the midair. Those firebirds were hit by the symbols, and their bodies were shattered into pieces. Then, they were covered by the colored flame and burned into ashes. The young man's colored flame was way more powerful than the firebirds. Wind tooth. The thin old man was much stronger than the young man. He waved his hand, and a violent storm appeared out of nowhere. It rolled into a ball, and from time to time, crescent moon-like wind blades would burst out from the storm and sweep across the sky. They swept down a large number of firebirds and cleared the sky. Chapter 717. Let's go. Most of the simulated spell did not have the trapping effect. As long as one left the coverage of the spell, one would not be attacked by the power of the spell. After the skinny elder had killed a huge amount of firebirds, his body flashed and he rushed out through the gaps of the dense firebirds. The young man also knew that he could not kill all of those firebirds. If he fought with his life on the line, it would only hurt him badly. Therefore, the second the elder finished talking, he had already chased after him. Caw, 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 caw. Hundreds of firebirds were like a fiery red ribbon of light, trailing behind the two. Unfortunately, like the ash wolf, these firebirds could not attack from afar. Only a few firebirds at the very front could hit the two with fireballs, causing countless sparks of fire to fly. So hot. Passing through the huge Kanglang Plain, Yi Chen and the other 4 arrived at the lava land. The temperature here was at least 100 times higher than the outside world. Even iron would melt if it was placed on the ground. The air was like a burning stream. Normal warriors would definitely burn their lungs if they took a breath. This should be the firebird spell. It is not a good idea to fight with brute force. Let's go through if we have the chance. Qing Liu reminded the other 4. The ground was pitch black and covered in cracks, the lava was bright red, and the sky was filled with black smoke. The environment of the lava field was extremely harsh. It was very difficult for flesh and blood life forms to survive here. Only some natural life forms of the fire attribute would like this place. The 5 of them flew in the sky, avoiding the lava that was shooting up from time to time. Caw. All of a sudden, there was a huge volcano in front of them. There was a wave of red tide rushing out. Getting closer, they realized that it was not a tide, but a sea of firebirds. Those firebirds did not have a physical body. They were completely made up of pure fire power. Between the flapping of their wings, the flame would burn even more. The temperature of the air had increased by a couple of times, and it could even melt metal. Black sky print. Qing Liu attacked first, killing a group of firebirds. Yi Chen performed his defensive sword spell. 3 beams of gold light shot through the firebirds. Wherever they went, the firebirds fell down like rain, disappearing into nothingness. Everyone, follow me. Qing Liu's protective Zhenyuan layer suddenly expanded by a couple of times, covering all 4 of them. She then crashed into the dense firebird flock. Bang 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 bang. Half-Step King's protective Zhenyuan was extremely powerful. Even if it had expanded by several times, it was still not something these master-grade firebirds could break through. One by one, the firebirds were knocked dizzy by the Zhenyuan, and their formation was in disorder, unable to unite. Rumble. Suddenly, a loud noise came out from the protective layer. Qing Liu's face turned pale and her body froze. It turned out that there were 3 firebirds that were a couple of times bigger than Liu Wujian. Their power was not that much weaker than Liu Wujian's. They were attacking the protective Zhenyuan layer together, stopping the 5 from breaking through. Star-picking hand. Qing Liu yelled. Her left and right hands were like butterflies flying through the air, breaking the necks of the 2 firebirds. The intense chi explosion had blown away the other firebird as well. Sword control art. Yi Chen seized the chance to activate his sword spell, and the golden sword pierced through the bird's body. Go! There was no time to lose. The firebirds behind them had already caught up, so the 5 increased their speed and flew into the distance. Soon, they had left the firebirds behind them far behind. Behind the grey wolf plain was a land of lava. Behind the land of lava was a misty white fog. The fog had the effect of isolating soul power. When one was in the fog, one would not be able to distinguish one's position. One would also not know which direction to walk in to get out of the fog. The White Sheep King, who was under the command of the 4 Extreme Emperor, is good at illusion spells. The spell that he had set up must be an illusion spell. It does not have any attacking power, but it could trap people inside. If they could not break it, then they might even die of old age inside. This is bad. Qing Liu did not have that kind of power like Xian Hu. Although she knew a thing or two about illusion spells, she was not that good at it. On the other hand, who was the White Sheep King? He was a powerful beast king in the ancient times, and before he was taken over by the 4 Extreme Emperor, he had dominated the world. Even king warriors at the same level would have to be cautious of him, afraid of falling into his illusion spell. Right now, the most powerful one among the 5 was only the half-step King Qing Liu, so how could she break the illusion spell? Let me try. Murong Qingcheng stood out. You! Qing Liu looked at Murong Qingcheng with surprise. Murong Qingcheng's power was indeed not weak, but she had always been low-key, so Qing Liu did not know what kind of power she had. Senior Qing Liu, don't worry. I can handle it. Yi Chen knew Murong Qingcheng very well. It could be said that the demons from the ancient times were not afraid of illusion spells at all, and Murong Qingcheng had also inherited this advantage. Her pair of demon eyes could see through the illusion spell. Walking to the front, Murong Qingcheng activated her demon power and transferred it into her eyes. The next second, her pupils turned gold. Her eyesight could see through the illusion spell and into the distance. Let's go there. Murong Qingcheng pointed to the left. Let's go. Yi Chen could not trust Murong Qingcheng more. Qing Liu and the other 2 hesitated a little bit before following up. After a couple of hours, everyone indeed walked out of the illusion spell. The perfect demi-demon bloodline is indeed worthy of its name. You have the special features of humans, but also inherited the demon's advantage. Qing Liu was completely convinced by Murong Qingcheng. When exploring an unknown place, it was the most annoying thing to not be able to see or hear. But with Murong Qingcheng here, she would not have to worry about it. Senior, you are flattering me. Ever since she got together with Yi Chen, Murong Qingcheng no longer covered her face. She had covered her face before because she had made up her mind. Before she met the person she loved, she did not want to show her face to too many people. Right now, a smile appeared on her face. So beautiful. Just like Qing Xian, the most beautiful woman in the world. Even though Qing Liu was a woman, she could not help but compliment in her mind. Just like that, the 5 of them passed 3 spells and arrived at the last one. This spell was made by the leader of the 4 kings under the 4 extreme emperor, the Sky Scorpion King. It was called the Sky Scorpion spell. The Sky Scorpion spell was also an imitation spell, but it was not hard to imagine that the imitation spell made by the Sky Scorpion King would be way more powerful than the Ash Wolf King and the Firebird King. On the other side of the Sky Scorpion spell, the skinny elder and the young man were having a hard fight. Their opponent was a huge scorpion beast. Normal scorpion beasts would not be able to make them fight hard. This scorpion beast had already surpassed rank 10, and was between rank 10 and rank 11. It was a half-step scorpion king, which was extremely powerful. The black beast power could be solidified and condensed on the black shell, which had an extremely high defense. The huge shell was extremely heavy, and its tail was even harder to defend. 5 symbol palm. The young man controlled the natural Yuan Qi and threw out a palm attack on the shell of the half-step Scorpion King. Boom! The twisted symbol had only broken a part of the black solid beast power, but it did not hurt the half-step Scorpion King at all. Tian'er, you hold it down. I will prepare my defense-breaking ace attack. The skinny elder did not want to waste time with the half-step Scorpion King. He was sure that if they really wanted to waste time, it would not be them killing the half-step Scorpion King, but the half-step Scorpion King killing them. The half-step Scorpion King's beast power storage was way more powerful than theirs, plus with the support of the Sky Scorpion spell, it was like a fish in the water. All right. The young man nodded with his teeth clenched. The area covered by the Sky Scorpion spell was a barren land. After walking for 1,000 miles, Yi Chen and the other 4 had already been attacked by 5 to 6 groups of scorpion beasts. Judging on the power, they might not be that much more powerful than the Firebird, but they were the best at attacking. Their unstoppable tail was also unpredictable, like a hidden killer in the dark. With just a little bit of carelessness, they would be killed. Most importantly, the defense of the scorpion beasts was not something that the Firebird and the Grey Wolf could compete with. After killing groups after groups of scorpion beasts, the 5 of them had consumed a lot of Zhen Yuan. Fortunately, the 3 of them had brought enough Zhen Yuan pellets before they came, and Murong Qingcheng had the demon essence inside her body, which allowed her to recover her demon power at an extremely fast speed. Therefore, it would not be a problem for a while. Shoo, shoo, shoo. Just when the 5 of them had killed the 7th group of scorpion beasts, a cluster of black clouds suddenly appeared from the deep mountains. Inside the dark clouds, there was a small mountain-sized scorpion beast. It was not only 10 times bigger than before, but its black beast power could even solidify, like a layer of black armor covering its shell. It had a pair of huge plates, each of which was the size of a house. They were clamped together, bringing with them a metal clashing sound. The long tail on its back was floating in the dark clouds, the hook shining with a purple light. It was obviously poisonous. Half-step Scorpion King, Qing Liu frowned. There were half-step king warriors among the humans, and there were also half-step beast kings among the beasts. Qing Liu had not expected that there would be a half-step Scorpion King in this Sky Scorpion spell. Although this half-step Scorpion King's chi was not that powerful, and its beast power cultivation was just below the middle of the half-step beast kings. However, in the same realm between half-step king warriors and half-step beast kings, the half-step beast kings would be a lot more powerful. Plus, the half-step beast king would be inside the Sky Scorpion spell, which would allow it to use its power as much as it wanted. Hiss. The half-step Scorpion King that was formed by the Sky Scorpion spell did not know how to talk. Its body flashed once, bringing along rolling dark clouds as it attacked towards the 5. When it got close to the 5, the half-step Scorpion King threw out a claw like a pair of huge scissors. Piss off. Qing Liu's right hand shone with a dark blue light as she threw out a palm attack onto the Scorpion King's claw, bringing up a metal exploding sound that made people cringe. The half-step Scorpion King was indeed a half-step Scorpion King. After exchanging one attack with Qing Liu, it had only backed out for dozens of meters and was not wounded at all. The tail hook on its back suddenly appeared from the left side, drawing an arc in the air as it attacked towards Murong Qingcheng and Yi Chen. Go! Yi Chen's reflexes were extremely powerful. The second the tail hook moved, he had already put up his sword fingers. His gold sword flew out of its scabbard, blocking out the half-step Scorpion King's tail hook. Landing spell. Qing Liu did not back out at all. She formed a spell with both of her hands and a huge crystal palm print fell from the sky. It landed heavily on the back of the half-step Scorpion King, making it sink down like a huge mountain. Let's go. After one attack, Qing Liu did not want to waste time with the half-step Scorpion King anymore, so she tried to leave. Unfortunately, although the half-step Scorpion King was restricted by the Sky Scorpion spell and could not attack from a distance, its long tail hook could reach out very far, landing heavily on Qing Liu's half-step Jin Yuan. Boom! Qing Liu backed out for dozens of steps, her face slightly pale. The protective Jin Yuan layer outside of her body had been corroded. The poison on that tail hook was indeed powerful, being able to corrode even half-step King Warrior's Jin Yuan. It was not hard to imagine that once the body was invaded by the poison, it would turn into a pile of white bones within a second. Chapter 7:18. You 4, use all of your power to hold it off. I will prepare my defense-breaking ace attack. Qing Liu was a half-step King Warrior, so she had a lot of tricks up her sleeves. Although her profound sense martial arts might not be that much more powerful than top master level warriors, her half-step King Warrior Jin Yuan was not something that top master level warriors could compete with. With some time, she would be able to infuse more Jin Yuan into her ace attacks, which would increase its attacking power drastically. Yes, teacher. Yang Fengfeng did not dare to waste any time. Her body flipped in the air, turning into a phoenix with blue flames burning around it. She screamed and flapped her wings. 2 massive flame beams shot out from the left and right, attacking toward the half-step Scorpion King, blowing it away dozens of meters. Sky Demon Finger. A pair of black wings appeared behind Murong Qingqing's back. On the wings, a black light poured into her body, gathering at the tip of Murong Qingqing's right hand. Go! A beam of black finger power turned into a small black sun, landing on the head of the half-step Scorpion King. Giant Sword Spell. The defensive sword spell was a sword spell. The first and second level of attacks were very simple, but from the third level onward, there would be more attacking methods. Besides multiple sword attacks, there were also some special attacking sword spells, and the giant sword spell was one of them. Yi Chen pointed out his sword finger, and the gold sword shot out into the air. Along the way, the Jin Yuan contained in the gold sword suddenly expanded, forming into a massive sword shadow that landed on the back of the half-step Scorpion King. Chin. Sparks spilled everywhere. That sword attack had not only cut open the beast power armor of the half-step Scorpion King, it had also left a light sword mark on its shell. Not bad. Yi Chen nodded. Seriously speaking, the pure attacking power of the giant sword spell was not as powerful as the flying sword. But, the giant sword spell had its advantages as well, which was its heavy power, which could blow away the target. In his sight, the half-step Scorpion King's body flipped and flew backward. Shoo! A black shadow suddenly broke through the air, which was indeed the half-step Scorpion King's tail hook. Let me handle it. Yi Chen's body drew an arc in the air, attacking the Scorpion King's tail from the side. He took out his Thunder Disaster Sword and used his power to attack. Chin, chin, chin. The speed of the half-step Scorpion King's tail kept decreasing, and its tail hook almost hit the head of the Shen sect's Tai Shen Peak, Lin Gaoming. Break. Lin Gaoming's fist landed on the tail hook, and this crisis was resolved. All right. Right then, Qing Liu's defense-breaking attack had finished its preparation. She raised her right hand up high, and circles of different colored light appeared in her palm. It was like a celestial sphere, and in the middle of it, there was a dark blue energy core. The power was hidden inside. Go! Qing Liu yelled and threw out a palm attack. Woo-woo! The attack that was similar to an armillary sphere let out a shrill sound, heavily bombarding the head of the half-step Scorpion King. The halo around it was like a steel blade, continuously cutting through the opponent's demonic energy armor. When the halo's power was exhausted, a large hole had already been opened up on the Scorpion King's shell, and the dark green energy core had drilled into it. Boom! In the next moment, the half-step Scorpion King's head exploded, and its body twitched incessantly until it vanished into thin air. Amazing. Yi Chen sighed inwardly at how terrifying this attack was. No wonder it took such a long time to prepare. After killing the half-step Scorpion King, the 5 of them were unobstructed. There was no longer anything that could block their way. Storm Spear. On the other side of the Sky Scorpion spell, the skinny elder had finally finished his preparation. He was holding a long spear that was made of black wind. The long spear kept shaking, and the tip of the spear kept on lengthening, like a poisonous snake's tongue. Go. Using his right arm, the elder threw the spear towards the Scorpion King. Crack. The Scorpion King was pierced through, and it was instantly torn into pieces by the exploding wind blades. Go. The elder's face was slightly red, it seemed like he had used up a lot of energy. Behind the mountains and rivers was a twisted layer of thin film, reflecting countless scenes. Woo. Woo. Yi Chen and the other 4 hesitated a little bit before they all jumped in. It was like going through a layer of water, the 5 of them appeared in a new environment. Woo. Taking a deep breath, the 5 of them had shocked expressions on their faces. In their eyes, the world seemed to have expanded a lot. As far as their eyes could see, there were lakes, grasslands, mountains, and ribbon-shaped white clouds in the sky, intertwining with the mountains in the distance. Looking up, the sky was clear, and the natural yuan qi was extremely dense. It was as if one casual breath was equivalent to a few days of training for a normal warrior. But that was not enough to shock them. What was truly shocking were the spirit plants and trees. On the grassland, the plants were rich and luxuriant. Every single one of them was extraordinarily green, and they could find a cluster of spirit plants with spirit qi every few meters. The spirit qi released by those spirit plants would nourish the normal plants nearby, making every single one of them full of vitality. On the lake, there were duckweeds that were full of spirit qi, and there were elegant green lotuses. On top of the lotuses, there were purple, white, and red lotuses that were competing with each other. Every single one of them had the value to be used as medicine. Under the lotuses, there were even fat fishes. Further in the distance, there was an endless stretch of lush trees. In the periphery, there were many low-grade spirit trees, and in the depths, there were towering mid-grade spirit trees that stood out like cranes in a flock of chickens. Even further in, one could faintly see several towering giant trees that pierced through the clouds. Although it was impossible to determine their grade, they were definitely not ordinary. The spirit plants and trees that grew from the tall mountains were obviously better than the grassland, lakes, and forests. On top of every mountain, there was a light that did not dissipate, it was very eye-catching. This is the 7-star blue that has already gone extinct in the outside world. Qing Liu was a former leader after all, so she was very interested in the spirit plants and trees. She squatted down and carefully dug out a light blue plant. Judging from its spirit qi, it should be a low-rank spirit plant. But considering that it had already gone extinct in the outside world, its value would be immeasurable. If she took it out and planted it, she would definitely be able to grow a huge amount of 7-star blue plants. After picking up dozens of 7-star blue plants, Qing Liu finally stood up and put all the 7-star plants into a storage ring with plant patterns on it. She turned around and saw that Yi Chen had actually put all the plants into his storage ring. She laughed and said, "Growing spirit plants requires a lot of soil. If you plant them in a pot, the effect would be much worse. I have another plant ring here for you." As she spoke, she took out a ring with plant patterns and threw it to Yi Chen. Plant ring? Yi Chen had heard about this kind of ring before. Storage rings were used to store things, while plant rings were used to grow spirit plants and flowers. The space inside was huge, and there was soil under the ground. Sunstones could be hung on top of the ring, which would help the plants to photosynthesize. A low-rank plant ring was even more valuable than a mid-rank storage ring, and there was no market for it. Taking over the plant ring, Yi Chen branded his soul mark on it, then poured his soul power into it. What he saw was a huge space, about 10 acres in size. On top of it, there were some exhausted sunstones. Below it was black soil, the spirit qi in the soil was very dim. It was obvious that this plant ring had not been used for a long time, and needed to be nourished by the spirit stones. "Thank you, Senior." Yi Chen held his hands together to thank her. You are welcome. Even Qingxian thinks so highly of you. As her master, of course I will not be stingy. Qing Liu chuckled and continued to look for spirit plants. With the plant ring, Yi Chen started to pay more attention to the spirit plants. For the low-rank spirit plants, he only chose some extinct or rare ones to transplant into the ring, 10 of each. As for the mid-rank spirit plants, he would transplant as many as he could find, not to mention the top-rank ones. Arriving in front of a lake, Qing Liu also moved some of the duckweeds and green lotuses from the lake into the ring. It seemed like her plant ring was one rank higher than Yi Chen's. Yi Chen's plant ring did not have any lake water inside, and it was not that big either. So, it would be a bit crowded if he moved the river. The 5 of them walked in a straight line, not trying to look for spirit plants or flowers. Not long after, a forest blocked their way. Low-rank maple tree. Qing Liu's eyes brightened. She waved her hand, and a maple tree with red leaves was pulled out from the ground and thrown into her plant ring. Low-rank snake pattern tree. Low-rank pine tree. Spirit trees with a certain rank were very easy to find. Wherever the 5 went, spirit trees would be uprooted one after another and put into Qing Liu's plant ring. Yi Chen's plant ring did not have enough space, so he could only choose a very rare low-rank spirit tree, which was a pine tree. However, seeing that half of the plant ring space was gone, Yi Chen shook his head and put the pine tree back on the ground. There were still mid-rank spirit trees, so one low-rank pine tree was fine. The mid-rank spirit trees were much bigger than the low-rank ones. Of course, there were some small ones, but no matter how small they were still bigger than normal trees. In the end, even Qing Liu felt powerless. She hated that her plant ring was too small. If it were big enough, then she would not have to worry so much. This plant ring of mine is only a top mid-rank one, 500 mu in size. Legend has it that the best high-rank plant ring is 5,000 mu in size, and the extreme rank one is 50,000 mu in size. Too bad, if I had an extreme rank plant ring, then I would be able to move all these spirit trees into it. Qing Liu was very reluctant. Yi Chen said, "Senior, let's go and have a look." Low-rank and mid-rank spirit trees, Yi Chen did not move a single one. If there were a top-rank spirit tree, he would not give it up no matter what, since it would be priceless. No, it would be priceless even for a whole country. One of them would be worth at least millions of top-rank spirit stones. All right. Qing Liu was also looking forward to it. Surrounded by the white mist, the 5 flew in the air above the forest, their soul power spreading out everywhere.
Hey!
Top-rank spirit tree? Yi Chen's soul power was not normal. Hundreds of miles away, he had already sensed that there was a rich spirit chi spreading out from the deep part of the forest. It was extremely shocking, almost reaching the semi-extreme rank long life tree that he had seen in the savage ruin ancient place. The normal trees around seemed to be turning into spirit trees under the nourishment of the spirit chi. This tree, even if it was not a top-rank spirit tree, it would definitely be a top mid-rank one. Of course, it was most likely to be a top-rank one. Otherwise, the spirit chi would not be this rich, almost reaching the semi-extreme rank long life tree. Regardless, they had to go check it out first. Chapter 719. After 10 breaths, Yi Chen and the other 4 stopped. It is a top-rank spirit tree, it really is. Qing Liu's eyes brightened up. The mysterious martial school also had top-rank spirit trees, but there were only a few of them. Every single one of them was extremely important, and they were the most important resources of the martial school. In their line of sight, a towering tree full of blue fruits stood in front of them. This huge tree had a canopy that covered the sky. It was at least a few miles in circumference. Under the shade of the tree, people seemed very small. If one had the leisure and elegance, they could even build a village under the tree's shade and live under it. How beautiful would that be? It's a high-grade water elemental fruit tree. The water elemental fruit is extremely effective in healing injuries. It's comparable to ordinary high-grade elixirs. This high-grade water elemental fruit tree has at least a few thousand high-grade spiritual stones. Qing Liu's breathing became irregular. "Senior, congratulations." Yi Chen smiled wryly. This tree was way too huge, and his plant ring could not contain it at all. He really wanted to, but he did not have the power. So he could only congratulate Qing Liu. Hihi, then I will not be polite anymore. Qing Liu cleared out a huge part of the plant ring, throwing out all the less important spirit trees. She then activated her Jin Yuan and waved her hand. The huge tree was uprooted and slowly put into the plant ring, disappearing without a trace. With the tree in her hand, Qing Liu was in a good mood. She picked up 5 of them and gave them to Yi Chen, Murong Qingcheng, and the other 4. Besides the healing effect, the water element fruit also has a great effect on recovering stamina. Plus, it is sweet and full of water. Everyone, try it. As she spoke, she tried one herself. Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng took over the palm-sized fruit and each took a bite. So sweet. Murong Qingcheng complimented. It is indeed sweet, and not greasy. Yi Chen nodded. The flesh of the water element fruit melted in his mouth, turning into a stream of cool water that entered his stomach. Then, with his stomach as the center, it spread out to his 5 viscera and 6 bowels, as well as the 100 meridians in his limbs. His body couldn't help but feel refreshed, and the slight tiredness from before disappeared. Qing Liu smiled. Although we haven't found the tomb yet, a water yuan fruit tree is still a great reward. This trip is worth it. Yi Chen, Murong, come visit our mysterious martial school in the future. We will give you plenty of water yuan fruits. It was all thanks to Yi Chen that she was able to obtain the water elemental fruit tree. Otherwise, it would have been very difficult to find it in such a huge forest. Compared to the water elemental fruit, the water elemental fruit tree was the real treasure. After eating the water elemental fruit, it could grow again, but if the water elemental fruit tree was gone, then there would be nothing left. Senior, don't worry. We won't hold back. Yi Chen did not feel too regretful either, since his plant ring would not be able to hold it anyway. Perhaps it was to make up for Yi Chen's regret. When the 5 had flown for thousands of miles, Yi Chen found another top-rank spirit tree. It was not as big as the water elemental fruit tree, but it was about 100 meters tall and 1 mile in radius. It was perfect for planting in the low-rank plant ring. Qing Liu clicked her tongue and said, top-rank fire pear tree. Yi Chen, you are quite lucky. Although this fire pear tree is not as mature as the water yuan fruit tree, it is still thousands of years old. Plus, it is perfect for your plant ring. The fire pear tree has the fire element, and the fire pear tree that grows out of it is not only very useful for warriors who train fire element Shen Yuan, but also for warriors of other races. For example, Murong Rong's perfect demi-demon bloodline is not restricted at all. Qing Liu had already gotten the water elemental fruit tree, so it would not be nice for her to fight for the fire pear tree as well. Indeed lucky. Yi Chen looked at the red crystal-like pears on the fire pear tree and nodded satisfyingly. Training the body and increasing the body would be more or less the same as the spirit power crystal stones. Even if the effect was not enough, it could be made up with quantity. There were at least 2,000 of them on the tree. Up. Activating his Jin Yuan, Yi Chen was about to plant the fire pear tree. Stop. All of a sudden, a loud yell was heard from 100 miles away. 2 human figures broke through the air and arrived at an unbelievably fast speed. They were 2 half-step king warriors. Yi Chen frowned slightly, but he was not slow at all as he successfully put the fire pear tree into his plant ring. He then filled the soil with a lot of top-rank spirit stones to nourish the soil and provide enough nutrition for the tree. Then, he took out some sunstones with enough energy and hung them in the air of the plant ring for the fire pear tree to photosynthesize and grow normally. You are looking for death. Seeing the fire pear tree disappear, the 2 did not care about it at all. They joined hands and attacked toward Yi Chen and the group. Who is it? Qing Liu yelled. Fighting against 2 at the same time, she shattered the incoming qi flow. Shoo, shoo. The 2 human figures stood dozens of miles away. One of them was huge and had a wooden face. His skin pattern did not look like a human's, but more like a tree's, which was very rough. The other one was short and skinny. He was a dwarf with a pointy mouth and small eyes that looked aggressive. Half-step beast king. Qing Liu could tell with one glance that these 2 were not humans, but a different kind of beast. The middle-aged man with a blank face was obviously a demi-beast king that had cultivated into a tree, and the dwarf elder was a demi-beast king. It seemed like he was a rat-type beast, which was vicious and cunning. Putting away the fire pear tree, Yi Chen turned his body to look at the two. He could not help but frown. Two half-step beast kings were not some random people. Not to mention two of them, any one of them would be enough to give them a headache, not to mention two. Be careful later. Yi Chen sent a message to Murong Qingcheng secretly, asking him to give up the fire pear tree. It was obviously impossible, since they were not fish on the chopping board. If they really had to fight, it would be hard to tell who would win. Don't worry about me. Murong Qingcheng nodded slightly. You too, you attacked us for no reason. That is so rude. Qing Liu did not want to fight with two half-step beast kings either, so she tried to suppress her anger and said calmly. The elder with the pointy mouth sneered, "Give up the fire pear tree, and we can let you go. Otherwise, don't blame us for being cruel. You are planning to take it by force." Qing Liu squeezed her eyes. "Give up the fire pear tree, and we will not take it by force." As the elder spoke, he studied Qing Liu and the other four. He realized that although there were a lot of them, there was only one half-step king warrior, and the rest were two peak-level late-seas of Soul's Realm warriors. One was a rank 10 beast human lady, and the other one was at peak-level mid-seas of Soul's Realm. Their average battling power was way weaker than theirs. "Sorry, I can't do that." Qing Liu's voice sank. She was a half-step king warrior, so she had her own dignity. If she was threatened and asked to give up the fire pear tree, what would Yi Chen and the rest think of her? They would think that she was a coward. Therefore, it would be impossible for her to give up the fire pear tree. "If you don't, then you will have to die." The evil light in the elder's eyes was almost solid. It was very scary. Being stared at by him would make one's hair stand on end, as if they were facing death. "You!" Qing Liu was also pissed off. "Ghostwood King, I will leave the four of them to you. No problem, right?" The elder turned his head and said to the tall middle-aged man with a wooden face. The latter said, 90% sure. "All right, then leave this to me." The elder turned his head and said to Qing Liu, "It has been a long time since I have killed a human half-step king warrior. Your skin is so soft and tender, so it must be delicious." Shoo. Just as he finished talking, the elder disappeared from where he was standing and jumped toward Qing Liu. One was still while the other was moving, giving people a feeling that they could not react in time. "You guys protect yourselves." Qing Liu did not dare to waste any more time. She threw out a sentence before attacking the elder. Boom. 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 One half-step beast king and the other half-step king warrior were about the same level. As their chi clashed, the trees around them fell and the ground was flipped over. "Hehe, your power is not bad, but your speed is too slow." The elder flashed his body again and again, turning into beams of black shadows that surrounded Qing Liu. Qing Liu did not expect the elder to be this fast, so she was caught off guard. She tried to fight back a couple of times, but it was all dodged by the elder. She was so frustrated that she wanted to puke out blood. "Let me fight with him first." Yi Chen stretched his body and walked out. No. The middle-aged man shook his head. "Let's fight first." Yi Chen had never fought with a half-step king warrior before, and it would be his first time fighting a half-step beast king as well. He would like to see how powerful a half-step beast king could be. "Oh well, I will kill you and take the fire pear tree." The middle-aged man's pupils turned yellow and green as a creepy black chi spread out from his body. All of a sudden, he turned from a normal-looking middle-aged man into a ghost. Ting! Yi Chen did not dare to be careless. 5 beams of sword light appeared out of his body and gathered behind him, forming into a dragonfly-like sword wing. Shoo! The sword light sliced through the sky as Yi Chen took the initiative to attack. Die! The middle-aged man threw out a punch to the right. There, Yi Chen had just appeared. Such accurate observation skills. Yi Chen was a bit surprised. He flashed his body and dodged the fist power. Boom! A huge amount of trees died and were covered by the black chi. That punch from the middle-aged man was not simple at all. It seemed to have the effect of destroying the life force. The middle-aged man saw that Yi Chen had dodged that punch and seemed to be a bit surprised. His title was the Ghostwood King, and he was a half-step beast king trained from the ghostwood. The ghostwood had the yin element, and wherever it grew, all the plants would die and all the life force would be sucked away. Therefore, the Ghostwood King was very sensitive to life force. No matter what kind of changes his opponent had, it would not be able to escape from his perception. Although Yi Chen was fast, in his eyes, Yi Chen was no different from a life force. As long as he was hit, his life force would be destroyed. Ghostwood King, do not waste time with this brat. Take care of him as soon as possible. This woman is quite tricky. The elder had indeed gotten the upper hand, but he had underestimated Qing Liu. She was the former leader of the mysterious martial school after all, and her cultivation was unpredictable. She was one of the rare powerful warriors among the half-step king warriors. Soon, she had turned the situation around and fought back a couple of times, putting the elder in a difficult situation. 3 attacks to take care of him. The Ghostwood King saw that the elder was having a hard time, so he nodded. His cold eyes locked onto Yi Chen as the black qi on his body got even thicker. Chapter 720. Brother Yi, don't be careless. Just do what you can. Yang Fengfeng was afraid that Yi Chen might be wounded by the Ghostwood King, so she reminded him. The sword wings on his back slightly opened as Yi Chen said, "If I can't hold it anymore, I will call you guys. Right now, let me test his bottom line first." Yi Chen did not plan to fight with the Ghostwood King. He had 2 goals. One was to test how powerful a half-step beast king was, so that he would know when he ran into one in the future. The second was to let Murong and Yang Fengfeng know how powerful the Ghostwood King was. If it really did not work out, then the 4 of them could work together. Plus, he was confident that even if he could not beat the Ghostwood King, he would still be able to escape in one piece. Don't waste your time. In my hands, you will die for sure. How could the Ghostwood King not know about Yi Chen's plan? But he did not care. An ant trying to test an elephant's bottom line was ridiculous. No matter how many ants there were, they were still ants after all. I am afraid not. Yi Chen slowly took out his Thunder Disaster Sword, the sword light flickering. Wait until you die, then you will know that I am telling the truth. First attack. The Ghostwood King did not have the patience to waste any more time. The black qi on his body suddenly expanded, looking extremely creepy. Shoo, shoo, shoo. An air-piercing sound was heard as countless black vines shot out, attacking toward Yi Chen. Thunder Devour. Stepping on the surreal air, Yi Chen used the power to back out. In the middle of it, he held his sword with both of his hands and threw out a sword attack. A perfectly round black thunder ball attacked toward the center of the vines. Boom! The sky was filled with thunder and lightning. After the thunderball exploded, the shockwave blew away the vines. The aggressive thunder power followed the vines and spread toward the Ghostwood King's body. The Ghostwood King did not react at all, allowing the thunder power to spread toward him. Suddenly, a strange thing happened. The thunder power that was usually aggressive just got close to the Ghostwood King's body, but it started to slow down, seeming very obedient as if its power had been sucked out. His life force has been absorbed. Yi Chen was shocked. Although the power of thunder and lightning was only a type of energy, it still had its own vitality. It was just that this vitality was slightly different from normal vitality. It was like a withered tree that had not sprouted for many years without any vitality. But one day, a bolt of lightning struck down, and the next year, the withered tree was reborn with new branches and leaves. This meant that the thunder and lightning not only activated the remaining vitality of the withered tree, but also brought it nutrients. The Ghostwood King had taken away the vitality of the thunder power, which meant that the thunder power had lost its source of power, and no longer had a powerful destructive power. Yi Chen was shocked, but the Ghostwood King was even more shocked. He had indeed taken away the vitality of the thunder power, but inside the thunder power, there was still a destructive power. The destructive power could destroy everything, no matter if it was life force or death qi, nothing could escape the destruction of the destructive power. The life force that he had just absorbed from the thunder power had also been invaded by the destructive power, which had hurt him a little bit. The dead yellow-green pupils suddenly showed a fierce light. The Ghostwood King's body shook, and more black vines shot out. These vines did not attack Yi Chen, but instead blocked the space around the two of them, creating a huge net that made it impossible for them to escape. Gold pattern. Yi Chen did not dare to be careless. He threw out a sword attack, bringing out a dark gold pattern, destroying the vines around him. Crack, crack, chin, chin, chin. The toughness of the vines was beyond Yi Chen's imagination. After destroying only 10 vines, the dark gold pattern formed by the sword chi had lost its power. Break. Unable to break through with one attack, Yi Chen changed his sword aura. More dark golden ripples blossomed, turning the area within hundreds of meters into a dark golden realm. The vines that had been infused with beast power started to crumble under the waves of attacks before shattering into pieces. Killing attacks in a row. The Ghostwood King's expression changed slightly. Soul-shattering fist. Clenching his bowl-sized fist, the Ghostwood King threw out a punch towards where Yi Chen was standing. Once this punch was thrown out, a loud buzzing sound could be heard, which could make people's hearts and blood boil, making it impossible for them to concentrate. Those who did not have a firm mind would lose immediately, and their condition would fall to the bottom. Gold Fury. Pushing his Jin Yuan to its limit, Yi Chen threw out a sword attack, using his most powerful sword attack. The Ghostwood King was not Liu Wujian. Even if it was just a normal ace attack, he still had to use all of his power. Boom. A huge wave of qi exploded. The vines that were blocking the area tightened, but there was no sign of them breaking. On the other hand, the forest outside of the vines was unlucky, as all of the trees were uprooted. However, this was a forbidden area, so the space was very stable. The power was limited a lot. Plus, the trees down there were not normal ones, but fake spirit trees that were close to spirit trees. Therefore, the range of the attack was not very far, only 1 to 2 miles away. Chem. Yi Chen suddenly made a noise. It turned out that this punch from the Ghostwood King contained a life-destroying power other than the normal fist power. Jin Yuan could not block it out, so it could only weaken a part of it, but it had still landed on his body, destroying his life force. Destroy. The destruction sword intent exploded, and Yi Chen countered this power. The third attack, soul-shattering fist, kill. The Ghostwood King's eyes were cold as he used his ace attack. He said that he would take care of Yi Chen with 3 attacks, so naturally, he would not hold back. With this attack, Yi Chen would definitely die, because the power of the soul-shattering fist was 3 times more powerful than the soul-shattering fist. Woo 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 woo, ghost cries and wolf howls could be heard everywhere. Not to mention Yi Chen, even Murong Feng and the other 2 could feel their hair standing on end, feeling a chill running down their spine. The wings on Murong Qingqing's back tightened to its limit as waves of demon power poured into her fingers. As long as Yi Chen was in danger, she would use her most powerful sky demon finger. But it was still not enough. She secretly took out a part of her demon power essence and combined it with her own. All of a sudden, the demon intent around her intensified, making her look like a princess of demons. This attack. I have to take it. Yi Chen let out a long roar as his Jin Yuan burst out. The gold sword on his back shot out with a clang, shrouded in the destruction sword intent. Then, with an incomparably sharp and murderous sword chi, it slashed out. Wherever it went, all the vitality was destroyed. It was not the slightest bit inferior to the Ghostwood King's soul-shattering. Boom. The fist power and the gold sword finally clashed together. 2 different kinds of power clashed with each other, each taking up half of the sky. The life-destroying power clashed with the destruction sword intent. No matter who won, it would have a huge impact on the other. Defensive sword spell. The Ghostwood King frowned. Crack, crack. A metal twisting sound was heard. The tip of the gold sword started to twist under the fist power. It turned out that the soul-shattering fist was a spiral power attack, which was very aggressive. Although the gold sword was extremely hard, it was only a top-rank weapon after all. How could it block out the attack from a half-step king warrior? It was slightly damaged, and Jin Yuan leaked out. Not good. A cold light flashed through Yi Chen's eyes. He pointed out his sword finger and the gold sword separated into three. Two sword shadows attacked the Ghostwood King from the left and right, while the gold sword itself was shattered by the fist power. The fist power carried the life-destroying power as it attacked toward Yi Chen. Immortal, suppress. After doing all that, Yi Chen's expression did not change, but his eyes got colder. He yelled with a low voice as an immortal chi spread out around his body. Pooh! Puking out a mouthful of blood, Yi Chen was blown away by the fist power. However, he was only wounded, and his life force was not affected at all. In that critical moment, he took out the immortal sword intent that he had not used for a long time, defending against that life-destroying power. As for the fist power, although it had wounded him, he was not scared at all. With his immortal body, no matter if it was an external or internal wound, he could recover instantly, unless the wound was too serious. After wounding Yi Chen, the Ghostwood King was not feeling good himself either. Those Jin Yuan flying swords were extremely fast, and even with his reaction speed, he could only shatter one of them while the other one landed on his protective beast power. His chi and blood started to boil, and he was forced to back out. Sky Demon Finger. Right then, Murong Ching Cheng threw out her attack. The black finger power broke through the vine's blockade and turned into a small sun, attacking toward the Ghostwood King. The Ghostwood King did not even look at it. He waved his sleeves, and the small black sun disappeared. It was not without reason that he used the vines to block the surroundings. It was to prevent other people from helping him. Even if they did, they would be weakened a lot, so how could they hurt him? Nirvana Flame. Yang Fengfeng's attack followed right after. The undying flame landed on the vines, and the vines caught on fire immediately. Even the Demi-King beast power could not burn it out. The flame followed the vines and spread toward the Ghostwood King's body. As long as he was burned by the Nirvana flame, even if he was a Demi-Beast King, he would still be in trouble. This was the top-rank talent of the Blue Phoenix, which was unbeatable. Although the Ghostwood King had guessed that Yang Fengfeng's real body was powerful, he did not expect her to be a Phoenix descendant. Both the Phoenix and the Phoenix descendant belonged to the fire element, which was the natural nemesis of the Ghostwood King. Not wanting to waste his energy to fight against the Nirvana flame, the Ghostwood King cut off the connection with the vines immediately. The sky full of vines lost control and fell down immediately. Burning Sky Kill. Lin Gaoming, the peak master of Taishen Peak, seized the opportunity, and with a fierce and unparalleled style, the fist with the power to cut straight toward him, the sound of breaking through the air was sharp. You are overestimating yourself. The Ghostwood King would not care about this fist power at all. He released his protective beast power, and that fist power was blown away immediately. It did not even make him move. So powerful. Only then did Lin Gaoming realize how big the gap between him and the Demi-Beast King was. Even 3 attacks could not take care of you. It seems like I have indeed underestimated you. The Ghostwood King split out a small part of his mind to pay attention to Murong Fengfeng and the other 2, while most of his attention was still on Yi Chen. He could feel that Yi Chen's life force had not been weakened at all, and he had only been wounded a little bit. It was not hard to tell how powerful he was. Same to you. Yi Chen activated his immortal body, and all the wounds in his body healed at a fast speed. His spirit, chi, and mentality that were a bit tired had reached its peak again. Not only that, after the bloody battle, his aura had become even more condensed, carrying that intense killing intent. It was even more threatening than before. Chapter 721. Impossible. The Ghostwood King's emotionless expression changed drastically. Although he had not taken care of Yi Chen in 3 attacks, he was confident that he would be able to kill the wounded Yi Chen in the next 3 attacks. However, he did not know what kind of secret art his opponent had used, but not only had his wounds healed completely, even his mental power had been adjusted to its peak. His aura had increased instead of decreasing. Nothing is impossible. Yi Chen smiled casually. However, that smile gave people a feeling of coldness. The Ghostwood King calmly thought for a while, then slowly said, I was almost fooled by you. This secret technique of yours must have a huge side effect. Once the side effect is triggered, it will definitely backfire on its owner. He did not think that there was any secret art that could go against the rules of nature. Let's try and find out. Yi Chen did not express his opinion. The immortal body did have side effects, but these side effects could be made up with yuan qi recovering pellets or spirit herbs. In other words, as long as he had enough yuan qi, he could theoretically perform the immortal body countless times. Ghostwood King, why haven't you taken care of that brat yet? The elder could not be distracted at all. As time passed by, his speed was not that useful anymore. His opponent's casual attacks had already made him unable to perform his full power. He had to admit that although the average battling power of a human demi-king was not as powerful as a demi-beast king, but their battling techniques were way more powerful than them. Plus, Qing Liu's battling power was not weaker than his, she might even be a bit more powerful. Hold on for a bit longer, the Ghostwood King said. All right, you have to take care of it as soon as possible. The elder did not know what had happened to the Ghostwood King. All he knew was that he was starting to regret. If he had let the Ghostwood King take care of Qing Liu, then the situation would have been even. Since the Ghostwood King was a bit slower than him in every other aspect. This Yi Chen really can't be judged by his cultivation base. Qing Liu was different from the elder. Besides the fact that she was not used to the elder's speed at the beginning, she was able to handle it with ease. She was able to pay attention to Yi Chen's situation, and it was much better than what she had expected. Yi Chen isn't injured. Lin Gaoming, the Peak Lord of Taishan Peak, was quite surprised to see Yi Chen's undying body for the first time. However, Yang Fengfeng was no longer surprised. When Yi Chen fought with Liu Wujian, he seemed to have revealed this ability, suppressing Liu Wujian to the point where he couldn't even fight back. As for Murong Qingcheng, her expression was calm. When Yi Chen obtained the secret method of the undying body, she was right beside him. I don't have the patience to tangle with you. The Ghostwood King was a half-step king cultivated from Ghostwood. Even if he was impatient, his expression didn't change at all. However, his tone revealed his emotions. Inescapable net. Whoosh 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 whoosh. Countless black vines shot out from the Ghostwood King's body. These vines were surrounded by black qi. Wherever they went, the vitality in the air would be completely gone. It was dead silent. In the blink of an eye, layers upon layers of vines appeared. It was unknown how many layers had been set up. Some of the vines even took root underground, absorbing the vitality in the ground to strengthen themselves and grow on their own. This Ghostwood King is indeed tricky. Yang Fengfeng tried to burn the vines with her nirvana flame, but once the Ghostwood King sensed it, he immediately cut off the vine, not giving her any chance to do anything. Not only that, the vines taking root underground grew more and more out of control. They started to grow crazily. Even the trees miles away were affected and started to wither rapidly. With so much vitality gathered together, it formed an unbreakable cycle. The Ghostwood King and Yi Chen's figures could no longer be seen, as they were wrapped in a huge ball of vines with a diameter of no less than 5 miles. Huge sword spell. Yi Chen had no reason to let the Ghostwood King use his advantage. His slightly damaged gold sword shot out and expanded in the air, turning into a huge sword and attacking toward the Ghostwood King. Meanwhile, his left hand also formed a sword finger and pointed out. The green long sword on his waist also shot out. One sword turned into 3, attacking toward the Ghostwood King's left side. He could tell that although the Ghostwood King's power was horrifying, his speed was his weakness. From the beginning until now, he hadn't moved at all. Boom! The Ghostwood King knocked away the gold sword with one punch, but he couldn't block the green long sword. A huge chunk of his protective beast power was shaved off, and the sword chi left a bloody wound on his shoulder. A vine flew out. Using the huge sword spell to shake up my protective beast power, then using the defensive sword spell to break through. The Ghostwood King's protective beast power was extremely powerful. Under normal circumstances, the defensive sword spell would have a hard time breaking through his protective beast power. However, due to the clash with the huge sword spell, his protective beast power was not stable, which gave the flying sword a chance. If it wasn't for the vine growing out of his shoulder, it wouldn't have been as simple as a bloody wound, but a piece of flesh. Soul-shattering fist. Soul-shattering. The Ghostwood King's body did not move, but both of his fists continued to attack, throwing out one tricky fist power after another. Yi Chen did not dare to be careless, so he used all of his power. Each of him controlled 2 flying swords. The gold sword turned into a huge sword, and the green long sword turned into 3, and then into 5. Sword shadows filled the air, and they were evenly matched with the Ghostwood King. All of a sudden, no one could do anything to the other. Of course, only when one's soul power had reached Yi Chen's level would one be able to control 2 flying swords at once. However, even so, Yi Chen was not feeling too good either. Right now, it looked like they were evenly matched, but the Ghostwood King was a half-step king warrior after all. Each of his punches was full of power, and Yi Chen had to use all of his power to block them out. If it were not for his undying body and the godly dragon medal that stored 1/3 of his Jin Yuan, he would have lost already. Outside of the huge vine ball, a loud rumbling sound was heard. Murong Qingcheng, Yang Fengfeng, and the other 2 started to attack the huge vine ball. The 3 of them cooperated perfectly, first using the Nirvana flame to burn the vines. The Ghostwood King had no choice but to control the vines and let the burning vines fall down. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Murong Qingcheng and Lin Gaoming started to attack crazily, trying to break through the huge vine ball. It was also because of their combined attacks that the Ghostwood King was distracted and could not focus on attacking Yi Chen. Otherwise, the pressure on Yi Chen would be even greater. Since you all want to die, then I will let you die. The Ghostwood King's beast power exploded, and the vines that had been wrapped into a ball started to move. Countless vines were like whips, whipping toward the 3 outside. These vines contained half-step king warrior beast power, and their attacking power was horrifying. It was no less powerful than the full power attack of a top master level warrior. Hundreds of vines whipped over, and even with the 3's powerful strength, they were still pushed back continuously, unable to get close. The power of a half-step beast king had shocked the 3. Fighting 1 against 4, he still had the upper hand. Mysterious void seal. All of a sudden, a huge palm print appeared on the surface of the huge vine ball, and the broken vines flew everywhere. The Ghostwood King, who was in the middle of it, suddenly had a pale face, and his qi and blood started to boil. It turned out that Qing Liu had taken out her hand and used a mysterious void seal to attack the huge vine ball. Her power was not weaker than the Ghostwood King, and the latter was also doing 2 things at the same time. He was battling with Yi Chen on one side while controlling the vines to attack Murong Qingcheng and the other 2. He was caught off guard, so he was at a disadvantage. 5-sword attack. Yi Chen took advantage of the time when the Ghostwood King's qi and blood were boiling. The gold sword and the green long sword each separated into 5, and 10 sword shadows attacked toward the Ghostwood King. Chin. 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 Swoosh. Swoosh. After a series of metal exploding sounds, the protective beast power started to not be able to hold on any longer. A couple of cracks appeared on it, and the sharp sword qi leaked in, attacking the Ghostwood King's body. Break. The Ghostwood King suppressed his qi and blood. His beast power exploded, and he was able to get out of this crisis. Just like that, the Ghostwood King, the Dwarf Elder, Qing Liu, Yi Chen, and Murong Qingcheng, a total of 7 people, were all dragged into a long battle. No one could do anything to the other. As the battle was going on, more and more human shadows were attracted to the forest. In the northwest was the skinny elder and the teenager with the glaze symbol on his forehead. In the west was the gold absolute king and the powerful warriors from the evil king tower. In the north was the punishment king and the powerful warriors from the hell martial school. In other directions, there were some scattered human shadows. There were demi-king warriors from rank 5 martial institutions, and some of them were solo demi-king warriors. All of a sudden, there were almost 10 demi-king warriors gathered. Haha. It seems like there is some great treasure. Otherwise, the battle would not be this intense. The gold absolute king laughed as he licked his lips. If they are not powerful enough, then it would not matter even if we kill them all. The punishment king's killing intent was the heaviest. He was talking about killing Yi Chen and the rest. Huh. It is the Ghostwood King. From afar, the skinny elder saw the huge vine ball in the middle of the forest and said, "Ghostwood King? Is this person very powerful?" The teenager asked. The skinny elder said, "The Ghostwood King is a demi-beast king cultivated from a ghostwood. He is born with the ability to absorb life force and strengthen his body. His talent is to release the vine realm and create a huge ball to trap the enemies inside. These vines would take root in the ground and absorb the life force from the plants around, which would reduce the consumption of the Ghostwood King's beast power. It is a very tricky attack. If you run into him, it would be best not to fight." Everyone moved extremely fast. Soon, they were already hundreds of miles away from the center of the battle. "Not good. There are so many demi-king warriors." Qing Liu's expression changed as she suddenly pulled back. "What? Are you scared?" The dwarf elder let out a breath and said. Qing Liu said with an annoyed expression, "Look around." Hearing her, the dwarf elder let out his soul power and spread out. The next second, his expression changed a couple of times. Within his sensing range, 7 or 8 demi-king warriors had appeared out of nowhere. Each of them was not to be underestimated. There were even 1 or 2 of them whose chi was extremely horrifying, no weaker than Qing Liu. But soon, he laughed evilly again. "What does this have to do with me? It is you guys who got the fire pear tree, not us. You tell me, if they know that you guys got the tree, what will they do?" Qing Liu's expression looked bad. "You might have some treasures on you. Worst case scenario, we will fight to the death. I believe they will not mind killing you as well. Then, let's see who dies first." The dwarf elder's eyes flashed as if he was calculating something. Chapter 722. The Ghostwood King fought against 4 of them at the same time, but he still could not take down Yi Chen. It made him realize that Yi Chen's power could not be judged by his cultivation. Although the Ghostwood King was not a top half-step beast king, he was still one of the top ones among them. Normal half-step beast kings would not be able to last until now, but Yi Chen with his peak-level mid-seas of Soul's Realm cultivation could not only handle it, but also threaten him from time to time. If he was a little bit careless, he would be wounded, which made him re-evaluate Yi Chen. If Yi Chen managed to reach late seas of Soul's Realm, then he would be able to fight against him. Although he was in the middle of an intense battle, the Ghostwood King still let out his soul power from time to time. The arrival of all the half-step king warriors had been sensed by him. He took back his beast power, and the Ghostwood King stopped attacking Yi Chen. That huge ball of vines had also sunk back into the ground. However, it did not mean that those vines were useless. At the critical moment, the vines with enough life force could trap everyone within miles. As for whether or not it would be broken through, it would be another story. Yi Chen was not stupid. Although he could not sense what was going on outside with his dual swords, the expression on the Ghostwood King's face had told him that something had changed. Indeed, when Yi Chen let out his soul power, he immediately knew why the Ghostwood King had stopped attacking. The Gold Absolute King and the Punish King's power are not weaker than Qing Liu's. Compared to the Ghostwood King, they are even more powerful. Just these 2 alone are not something that the Ghostwood King and that dwarf elder can compete with. Adding the other 5 half-step king warriors and 20 top master level warriors, if they are against us, we will definitely lose. Yi Chen's expression turned serious. The situation right now was not good for them, and they might become the target of everyone. Shoo! Shoo! Coincidentally, Yi Chen and Qing Liu flew to the side of Murong Fengfeng and the other 2 at the same time. They then pulled out some distance to avoid being surrounded. The Ghostwood King and the Dwarf Elder also didn't have the time to bother the 5 of them. They also kept their distance and waited to see what would happen. In just a few blinks of an eye, the half-step kings and peak master level masters who had rushed over from all directions stopped dozens of li away. They all had different expressions on their faces. Some were expressionless and cold, some had a playful expression and a fierce glint in their eyes, and some were just watching from the sidelines, as if they didn't want to get involved easily. So many half-step kings. Mysterious peak leader Lin Gaoming sucked in a cold breath. Qing Liu said with a low voice, "There are 7 demi-king warriors in total. The most powerful one among them should be the punishment king from the prison martial school, followed by the gold absolute king from the evil king martial school. These two are not weaker than me in terms of power. Among the remaining 5, the Iron Hand King from the Jiyu family in the East Royal City would be the strongest. As the former leader of the mysterious martial school, other than some of the newly born demi-king warriors and those who had not been in the martial world for a long time, Qing Liu almost knew everyone. Who is this half-step king on the left? Yi Chen glanced at the 7 demi-king warriors and eventually fixed his eyes on the elder in brown on the left. Qing Liu glanced at the elder on the left and said, "This person is the Shadow King from the rank 5 martial school in the Sky Martial region." "What's wrong?" Yi Chen said, "Among the demi-king warriors, his qi is the weakest. When the situation is dangerous, we can choose to break through from his side." Qing Liu did not know how Yi Chen judged the qi, but she had a different opinion. The Shadow King might be the weakest in terms of battling power, but his speed is not weaker than the elder. His battling style is also very strange, which makes him hard to deal with. It will not be easy to break through from his side. Of course it will not be easy. But in comparison, it would be easier for me to deal with these fast but not powerful demi-king warriors. Right now, Yi Chen's power was not weaker than normal demi-king warriors. Even the Ghostwood King would not be able to hurt him. The Shadow King's qi was the weakest among all the demi-king warriors there, so choosing him was something that Yi Chen had no other choice. It was not that Yi Chen did not care about the Shadow King. Qing Liu thought about it and agreed with him. Yi Chen's defensive sword spell was already extremely fast. It would not be possible for him to dodge the attack with his speed. Haha, Gopher King, you are a fly that never bites a seamless egg. What has attracted you here this time? And even made you fight a big battle? It was the Iron Hand King from the Jiyu family in the East Emperor City. Qing Liu did not know the Ghostwood King and the Elder, but he did. He had also fought with the Elder, who was the Gopher King before, so he knew his habits. The Gopher King forced a smile and said, "Iron Hand King, you seem to know me well. But what I want to do has nothing to do with you, right?" To be honest, the fire pear tree was too tempting for him. He would rather spend more effort than to tell the truth about the fire pear tree being with Yi Chen. Because once he did, the chance of him getting the tree would be even smaller. He did not believe that Yi Chen had been with Qing Liu the whole time. Woo! Hearing him, Qing Liu let out a breath. It seemed like the Gopher King would not tell the truth anymore. Indeed, if he did, it would mean giving up. The Iron Hand King rolled his eyes and laughed. "You have 2 demi-king warriors on your side, and they only have 1. Then, it would not be you who got the treasure. Therefore, you guys are planning to rob it. And this is the Forbidden Forest, there are a lot of spirit trees here. The treasure would basically be spirit trees. How could it be a mid-rank spirit tree for you to rob it? It must be a top-rank one. Gopher King, am I right?" The Iron Hand King was very cunning. With just a few words, he had already explained everything, which made Qing Liu, Yi Chen, and the rest of the people's expressions change. The Gopher King chuckled. Since they had already guessed it, there was no point in hiding it. "Let's go." Qing Liu knew the Iron Hand King's personality. He was very greedy, so it would not be good for them to stay. Mysterious King, the treasure should belong to the right person. Leave the top-rank spirit tree behind and leave. The Iron Hand King was not afraid of the mysterious school. There were 2 king warriors in the Jiyu family of the East Emperor City. One was the East King, and the other was the Destruction King. If the 2 worked together, even if they could not win against Xianhu, they could at least make her feel a bit scared. Plus, this was the forbidden place. As long as they did not kill her, Xianhu would not look for trouble with them. Iron Hand King, this is only your opinion. You say we have the top-rank spirit tree, so we have it. Qing Liu said with a low voice. Whether you do or not, take out the thing in your ring and we will know. The Punishment King crossed his arms in front of his chest and said lightly, "Yeah, take it out for everyone to see. If you don't have it, we will naturally not look for trouble with you. There are so many of us here. You have to give us an explanation." The attraction of a top-rank spirit tree was too huge. It was 10 times more valuable than a semi-extreme rank weapon. If a martial school had a top-rank spirit tree, their overall power would increase by another level. Most importantly, a top-rank spirit tree's lifespan was at least 10,000 years. In other words, in the future, the top-rank spirit tree's usefulness would be limitless. If you want us to open our ring, it is not impossible. But, you guys have to open your ring as well. In this moving forbidden place, we might not be the only ones with treasures. Yi Chen saw that they had become the target of everyone, so he took a deep breath and said calmly, "Brat, we are talking. Since when did you have the right to interrupt? Are you tired of living?" The Iron Hand King had a creepy look on his face. He would not kill the mysterious King Qing Liu, but it did not mean that he would not kill Yi Chen. A mere peak-level mid-seas of Soul's Realm warrior dared to bargain with them. Iron Hand King, who are you trying to scare? Once we get out of the forbidden place, I will let you know how high the sky is. Qing Liu had never been this frustrated before. A killing intent appeared in her eyes. "Hehe, I will be waiting for you." The Iron Hand King did not care at all. "Shadow King, move." This place was not suitable for them to stay for long, so Qing Liu brought Yi Chen and the rest flying toward the Shadow King. "Sorry, this way is blocked." The Shadow King would not let go of this opportunity. He was the fastest, so his chance of getting the top-rank spirit tree might not be any lower than the Punishment King and the Gold Absolute King. Even if it is blocked, it has to be blocked. Yi Chen did not want to waste time with him at all. He pointed out his sword finger and the gold sword and the green longsword took out of their scabbards. Each of them split into 5, turning into 10 sword shadows that shot toward the Shadow King. Because of their speed and the sudden attack, even if the Shadow King had a fast reaction, he was still one step late. Boom! Boom! A series of explosions were heard, and the Shadow King's whole body was blown away. Blood leaked out from the corner of his mouth. Qing Liu was only a bit slower than Yi Chen. She waved her hand and that crystal-like palm power blew out all of the top master-level warriors that the Shadow King had brought. It was like swatting flies, so effortlessly. "Let's go." Qing Liu's protective Jin Yuan covered Lin Gaoming while Yang Fengfeng turned into her blue phoenix form. The sword wings on Yi Chen's back flapped intensely while a black light flashed once on Murong Qingqing's body. The 4 of them used their highest speed to break out of the encirclement. Within a blink of an eye, they were already dozens of miles away. "Where do you think you are going?" The Iron Hand King lifted up his right hand. A black metal shine appeared on his palm as he threw out a palm attack toward Yi Chen and the other 4. Boom! This palm attack contained 2 types of profound, which were the gold profound and the earth profound. The sky darkened as a massive iron hand grabbed toward the 5. Landing spell. Qing Liu was a demi-king warrior after all. She knew that these people would not let them leave easily. So, while flying, she had already started to make a spell. The second the massive iron hand attacked, a crystal palm print landed from the sky, pressing down on the iron hand. Punishment kill. The Iron Hand King's attack had been cancelled out, but there was still an even more powerful Punishment King behind him. The Punishment King's attack was the same as the Punishment King's. He formed a spell with both of his hands, and the sound of iron chains came from the surreal space. Something shocking happened. In the deep of the surreal space, 10 iron chains landed from the sky, locking onto the 5 wrists. It was not hard to guess that being locked by these iron chains would not be a good thing. Punishment King, how dare you? Qing Liu's face was full of evil intent. This punishment kill was the famous punishment martial art of the Punishment King. Once locked by the iron chains, one would be no better than a criminal. Mysterious escape. Her Jin Yuan burst out, and a blurry door appeared in front of her. Once the door appeared, Qing Liu brought Lin Gaoming and flew in. When they reappeared, they were already 50 miles away. It was a real instantaneous movement, and there was no trace of movement. However, Qing Liu was very worried. She and Lin Gaoming had escaped, but there were still Yang Fengfeng and Yi Chen chasing after them. Nirvana fire. Yang Fengfeng, who had turned into her blue phoenix form, flapped her wings. The aggressive Nirvana fire attacked toward the iron chains in the surreal space. The iron chains were burned by the fire, and a part of them was cut off. Murong, You can escape by yourself. I have a way. There was no time for Zhen Yuan's sound transmission, so Yi Chen talked to Murong directly with his soul. It was like they were connected, and it was a method that only he could master. Although Murong Qingcheng was worried, she knew that Yi Chen had said it with confidence. If she stayed, she would only drag them down. Her demon power essence poured into the black wings on her back. Murong Qingcheng's speed had reached beyond demi-king warrior level. She could travel hundreds of miles within a second, and the iron chains were only locking onto a shadow. Chapter 723. Swoosh. The iron chain was falling at an extremely fast speed. The end of the chain was like an agile little snake, wrapping around Yi Chen's wrist and body. Once he was entangled, the consequences would be unimaginable. Shadow spell. At that critical moment, Yi Chen's body started to turn illusionary. His real body shot out from the illusionary body, and that horrifying iron chain was actually locking onto a shadow like Yi Chen. This shadow Yi Chen was still struggling, looking no different from a living person. Crack. The Punishment King did not just lock people down with the iron chain. After locking people down, it followed up with another attack. A blade light flashed in the air, and an illusionary executioner's blade sliced through the shadow Yi Chen's body. There was no blood, but the shadow Yi Chen was cut in half, disappearing into nothingness. So close. Dozens of miles away, Yi Chen's forehead was covered in cold sweat. He had not expected the Punishment King to be this powerful. If it were not for the fact that he had trained his Shadow Profound to near completion and trained his separating Shadow Flying Art to mid-rank Profound Sense Flying Art, even if he did not die, he would have been crippled by that attack. Chem. Shadow Profound. A surprised look flashed through the Punishment King's eyes. Qing Liu being able to escape from the executioner's attack was within his expectations, since she was not weaker than him in terms of power. It would be weird if she could not escape from it. Yang Fengfeng being able to escape from it was not that surprising, since the Blue Phoenix was one of the most powerful top-rank beasts. Among the demi-beasts, those demi-beast primogenitors like the blue-eyed white wolf and the sky tiger were all similar to the Blue Phoenix. Moreover, the Blue Phoenix's nirvana fire was inherited from the phoenix, so its destructive power was not hard to imagine. As for that woman with the black bat wings on her back, she should have a perfect demonic human bloodline and cultivated devilish energy. But just that wasn't enough to escape his executioner's chains. At the last moment, the devilish energy that had surged out of her body was of an extremely high quality. It was definitely king-level devilish energy. Even if it was diluted, it still contained an inconceivable might. It had instantly increased her speed to a terrifying level. So it was understandable that she had been able to escape. The only thing that moved the Punishment King was Yi Chen. The Shadow Profound was one of the most difficult Profound to comprehend. In terms of speed, it might not be as fast as the Wind Profound, Thunder Profound, and Speed Profound, but in terms of speed, the Shadow Profound was above all of them. It was hard for him to imagine how Yi Chen had comprehended the Shadow Profound to this level, not far from minor completion. Interesting. I'll let you off this time. The Punish King did not chase after her. His speed was the same as Qing Liu's, maybe even slightly weaker, so it would be impossible for him to catch up. However, the other three were not slow at all. Tian those youngsters are not to be underestimated. The skinny elder said to the teenager next to him. The teenager with the symbol on his forehead said coldly, "They indeed have some tricks up their sleeves." Yang Fengfeng's Nirvana Fire, Murong Qingqing's Demon Power Essence, and Yi Chen's Shadow Profound and Defensive Sword Spell had piqued his interest. "Bastard! How dare you wound me?" The Shadow King, who had been blown away, was furious to the extreme. He was a half-step king warrior, but he had been blown away by a peak-level mid-seas of Soul's Realm insect. He had even been wounded a little, which was something that he could not accept. He felt like he had been slapped in the face, which made him extremely embarrassed. "Shadow King, you trash. You can't even stop someone." The Iron Hand King took back his sight and looked at the Shadow King with disdain, adding fuel to the fire. "Ah!" The Shadow King roared as he pointed at the Iron Hand King and yelled, "Iron Hand King, say that again. I said that you are a trash. The Iron Hand King's tone was full of sarcasm. Die. The Shadow King's eyes turned bloodshot. He no longer cared about the fact that the Iron Hand King was stronger than him. He waved his hand and countless hidden weapons filled the sky. Each of them contained half-step King Jin Yuan and an invincible martial will. They shrouded the Iron Hand King. You're courting death. The Iron Hand King's eyes turned cold. He made a grabbing motion with his hand, and the sky full of hidden weapons were gathered into a ball before being pushed back at the Shadow King. A few screams were heard as the Shadow King retreated a few steps without a single injury. However, the peak master level warriors of the Shadow Sect beside him were all killed. This is too cruel. The Shadow Sect is really unlucky this time. They've suffered a huge blow. Many of the onlookers shook their heads. Top grandmasters weren't as common as cabbages. There were as many of them as one wanted. This time, the 4 Extremes Emperor's Tomb had appeared, and all the 5th grade sects had sent their top experts. Now that Shadow King was the only one left, one could imagine how big of a blow it was to the Shadow Sect. As if a bucket of cold water had been poured on his head, the Shadow King woke up. Seeing that all the peak master level warriors of the Shadow Sect had been killed, he said with a venomous gaze, Iron Hand King, you're so cruel. They didn't offend you. Aren't you afraid that my Shadow Sect will start a war with your GU family? The tomb of 4 Extreme Emperor has appeared. Life and death are up to fate. If your Shadow Sect really wants to start a war with my GU family will be waiting. I'm just afraid that you won't dare. The Iron Hand King was a bit angry earlier and didn't hold back. However, he couldn't admit that he was wrong. He could only walk this path to the end. Good. I, the Shadow King, will remember this. Your GU family's experts better not run into me. Otherwise, not a single one will be left alive. Shua. Leaving behind a vicious sentence, the Shadow King's body disappeared with the wind. How dare you? The Iron Hand King waved his sleeves, feeling a bit regretful. It was true that he was not afraid of the Shadow King, but the GU family warriors beside him were not him. They would definitely not be able to block out the Shadow King's attack. Because of a moment of anger, he had made a huge enemy. You guys, don't get too far away from me. The Iron Hand King reminded the GU family warriors. Thousands of miles away in the deep part of the mountains, Yi Chen and the other 4 stopped. Is everyone okay? Qing Liu let out a breath secretly. It was very lucky that they were able to get out alive this time. 7 half-step king warriors were not something to be messed with. As long as 3 of them attacked, the 5 of them would suffer a great loss. Luckily, Yi Chen had beaten back the Shadow King and bought them some time. Teacher, I'm fine. Yang Fengfeng's face was a bit pale. The Nirvana fire was her natal fire, and it was not endless. It would take a long time for her to recover. Senior, don't worry. Everyone is fine. Yi Chen was in the most dangerous one, but he was also the one who had consumed the least amount of power. Yang Fengfeng had escaped with her Nirvana fire, Murong Qingcheng had used her demon power essence, and he had used his shadow profound. Very good. Next, we will try to be careful and find the graveyard. Qing Liu looked around and said. The forbidden place was huge and endless. The 5 did not know where they were in the forbidden place, so they could only rely on their instincts and take one step at a time. Boom. Boom. After walking for a long time, the 5 arrived at a thunder area. Perhaps this place is a spell? Such a powerful thunder. Imprinted in their eyes was a dense black thundercloud with countless lightning bolts striking down. These lightning bolts had been amplified by the power of the array, and their might was frightening. That destructive aura was enough to make one's heart tremble. Even a half-step king couldn't ignore it. Look. There seems to be a human shadow inside. Lin Gaoming accidentally glanced over and gasped. Qing Liu frowned. Who is inside? Why is he not coming out yet? As she spoke, she followed Lin Gaoming's gaze and looked over. Yi Chen and the other 2 looked over as well. Under the concentrated thunder and lightning attack, a human figure stood in the air, walking slowly in the sky. What startled the 5 people was not this. What startled them was that this figure didn't have any protective true essence around his body. The thunder and lightning struck down on his head, forehead, chest, and back, nearly submerging him in a sea of thunder and lightning. But they couldn't do anything to him. He was like a conductor, and the thunder and lightning followed his body and spilled onto the ground, splashing countless arcs of electricity. So powerful. Yi Chen gasped. He could tell that this person was not a life and death realm warrior. He was just like Qing Liu, a half-step king warrior. However, these thunder and lightning were close to the full power attack of a half-step king warrior. Even a half-step king warrior would have to use his protective Jin Yuan to block it out. However, this person could block it out with only his body. It was like his body was a conductor, able to ignore the thunder and lightning. It is him. Qing Liu blurted out. Senior Qing Liu, who is this person? Yi Chen asked curiously. Qing Liu said, there are different levels among the half-step king warriors. Although my power is not bad, I am still not at the top of the half-step king warrior level. There are 3 top half-step king warriors on this true spirit continent, and this person is one of them. He is called the Thunder Spirit King. He has the Thunder Spirit body, and his achievement in the Thunder Profound is very high. I heard that once he reaches the life and death realm, he would be able to take down the Thunder King from the Thunder region and inherit the title of Thunder King. Only he could ignore the thunder attack that was equivalent to half-step king warrior level. Thunder Spirit King. Yi Chen had heard that among the half-step king warriors, the Thunder Spirit King was one of the most powerful ones. The tomb of the 4 extreme emperor had appeared, and almost all the half-step king warriors had come out. We will have to be more careful. Although the Thunder Spirit King is cold, he would not kill innocent people. But if we encounter other half-step king warriors, it would be hard to say. Qing Liu was not worried about herself. She was worried about Yang Fengfeng and Yi Chen. Yi Chen nodded. He could feel that this time was not the same as before. Normally, the enemies he encountered would not be much more powerful than him. Even if he could not beat them, he would be able to escape. But this time, the enemies were all half-step king warriors. With his power right now, he could only fight with normal half-step king warriors. The Ghostwood King's power was slightly weaker than Qing Liu's. Without Yang Fengfeng and the other 2, he would have to rely on his undying body to survive. But if it dragged on, the consequences would be unimaginable, since the Jin Yuan of half-step king warriors was way more powerful than him, and the undying body would consume Yuan Qi. It seems like I have to find a chance to increase my cultivation to late seas of Soul's realm. Otherwise, it would be too dangerous. Yi Chen's cultivation was only 1 step away from late seas of Soul's realm. Perhaps he would be able to make it in the next second. Once he did, his Jin Yuan would be at least 30% more powerful, and the quality of his Jin Yuan would continue to increase as well. Most importantly, when he reached the late seas of Soul's realm, he would experience the state of being one with the nature for a short period of time. Chapter 724. The Thunder Spirit King's body had already disappeared into the endless Thunder Ocean. Of course, Yi Chen and the other 4 would not be like the Thunder Spirit King and choose to go through this thunder area. Besides Qing Liu, the rest of them would not be able to handle the endless thunder attacks. If they tried to take it head-on, they would be turned into ashes. Following the edge of the thunder area, the 5 of them flew at a high speed. It was a dark underground world. It was not that high, only a couple 100 meters high. The top of the world was hard black mud, which was oddly shaped and sharp like blades. The surface of the mud was covered with a layer of forbidden power, supporting this huge underground world. On the ground, there were primitive jungles, swamps, rivers, and all sorts of other harsh environments. Pop, pop. On one of the swamps, dozens of grey bubbles suddenly appeared. Boom. A massive figure appeared out of it, raising up its wark-sized fist and attacking toward Xia Hozuan, who was in the sky. Piss off. Xia Hozuan yelled angrily as he pointed out his finger to welcome the incoming attack. Boom. The massive figure was blown away and landed on the swamps, bringing up grey mud waves. Xia Hozuan's body was shaken as well, his qi and blood boiling. Its attacking power is only slightly weaker than mine. Shia was very surprised as he looked down at the massive figure. It was a humanoid monster formed from grey soil. Just like the swamp, the humanoid monster's body was covered in sticky muddy water that kept slipping down. Its eyeballs were a pair of black agate stones, and it had no mouth, nose, or ears. It was 3 to 4 meters tall, and its limbs were thick. It was more appropriate to describe it as a swamp monster. Take my axe attack. The axe master, Lin Ruhai's body flashed once before he arrived right next to the swamp monster. He held his massive axe with both of his hands and threw out an attack. The axe light was extremely heavy. Crack! One of the swamp monster's arms had fallen off. Awoo! The swamp monster did not have a mouth, but it let out an angry roar. Its thick and powerful right leg swept out, kicking right at Lin Ruhai's head. Dang! At that critical moment, Lin Ruhai blocked in front of his body with his massive axe, but that kick was way too powerful. His whole body was blown away, bringing up a huge chi wave. Void-shattering finger. A sharp light flashed through Shia eyes as he pointed out his finger at the swamp monster's chest. Pop! The golden finger power went through the swamp monster's chest and shattered the black stones inside. Hualala! As if it had lost its bones, the swamp monster softened and became one with the swamp. At the same time, an extremely terrifying power of earth and water radiated outward, dissipating into nothingness. This swamp monster should be the combination of the earth spirit and the water spirit. It's called the swamp spirit, or the swamp monster. It's much stronger than the earth spirit or the water spirit. Its body contains the power of earth and water, and it's born with the ability to control these two powers Upanishads. However, the swamp monster also has a weakness. It has an energy core inside its body. The speaker was the supreme elder of the Void Martial School, the Armored King. He was famous for his defense. Among the half-step kings of True Spirit Continent, few could surpass him in defense. Lin Ruhai frowned and said, "A single swamp monster is not much weaker than me. If 4 or 5 of them come, only you, Grand Elder, can handle them." His power was at the same level as Shia, so he could take on 3 to 4 swamp monsters at most. If there was one more, then he would not be able to handle it. It's been 3 days. I wonder if the others have found the entrance to the graveyard. The forbidden place was boundless. Yi Chen and the other 4 had spent 3 days and still could not find the entrance. They could only wander around and try their luck. Let me see. Although Yi Chen did not plan to expose his soul eye, he could use his soul power in his eyes, which would be 1/10 of the effect. He closed his eyes, and when he opened them again, his pupils were completely silver white. 2 beams of silver white light shot out. 50 miles. 500 miles. 5,000 miles. 30,000 miles. Layers of shadows flashed past in front of Yi Chen's eyes. His gaze seemed to have traveled through time and space, and even the power of the spell could not stop it. What kind of secret art is this? Qing Liu was shocked. His eyes kept moving. After a long while, Yi Chen fixed his gaze on the southeast direction and said, 18,000 miles to the southeast, there is an underground entrance. A couple of people have gone down there. Underground entrance. Let's go check it out, Qing Liu said. All right. The silver-white light faded away as Yi Chen closed his eyes and opened them again. He had used up a bit of his soul power. Shoo! The 5 of them flew toward the southeast direction at an extreme speed. Far away in front of them was an ancient underground entrance. At the entrance, there was a wide staircase that extended downwards. Ha, this should be the entrance to the tomb. Let's go down. There were at least 1,000 people who had come to the forbidden place, and there would always be some people who were lucky enough to find the entrance soon. Right then, there were dozens of people gathered at the entrance. There were 3 half-step king warriors and 12 top master level warriors. Before them, there were already 3 to 4 people who had gone in. Shoo! After making sure that the people who had gone in before did not run into any danger, the remaining people could not sit still anymore. Their bodies flashed as they flew down the stairs. Soon, they disappeared at the end of the stairs, and could not be seen or felt anymore. They have gone in. Let's go in as well. The rest of the people started to move as well. After half an hour, Yi Chen and the other 4 arrived. It is here. Yi Chen looked at the entrance and said. It should be the entrance to the tomb. Qing Liu let out a breath and said with a smile. Then let's go in. The black bat wings on Murong Qingqing's back flapped. Yeah, let's go in. Qing Liu was the first to move, and Yi Chen and the other 3 followed behind her. Waiting until the 5 disappeared at the end of the stairs, the shadow of a rock nearby started to move, and a human figure appeared. It was indeed the Shadow King. Brat, it is all because of you that I am the only one left in the Shadow Martial School. If you run into me alone, you will die a horrible death. Shoo. The Shadow King flew in as well. The first thing that entered their eyes was the dark underground world. Looking up, the black mud was as sharp as blades. It was only a few hundred meters away from the ground. The place where the 5 appeared was a cliff. Looking down from above, they could see the ancient forest connected to each other. The dead rivers were like ropes, intertwining with each other. Such a creepy place. Yi Chen took a deep breath. He could feel that this place was full of danger. It was definitely not as peaceful as it looked. No matter how creepy it is, we have to get through it. Qing Liu also felt that this place was not a safe place. Ah! Just when Qing Liu finished talking, there was a scream coming from the forest not far away. Then, a couple of human figures flew out of the forest like birds that were scared by the twang of a bow. The trees in the forest were all very tall, not much shorter than the cliff. Therefore, after these few human figures flew out of the forest, they were not far away from the top of the black mud. That was also why they did not fly from the sky. They were afraid that there might be something else on the black mud. Chapter 725. What is going on with these people? Look at them. Yang Fengfeng frowned. As a blue phoenix, she had never known fear. As her power increased, the aggressive qi that only beasts had started to show. Her gold pupils scanned around as Murong Qingcheng said to the group, in the deeper part of the forest, there are a lot of killer flowers. They look like the oldest kind. If one were to ask what the most dangerous thing in the forest was, it would not be the beasts, nor the enemies. It would be those killer flowers and killer plants. These kind of creatures in the forest would have the advantage of the terrain, and it would be hard to defend against them. The people who flew above the forest saw Yi Chen and the other 4, and their expressions changed slightly. They then left the place quickly, heading deeper into the forest. Let's go down. Qing Liu flashed her body and jumped down the cliff. Since the forest was already 200 meters high, the top was only less than 100 meters away. The black rocks on the top were all weirdly shaped. Some looked like stalactites, hanging down all the way into the deeper part of the forest. Some looked like massive sharp teeth, spreading everywhere, layer upon layer. Flying above the forest, one would not only have to avoid those rocks, but also have to watch out for the dangerous creatures hiding in the dark. Squeak, squeak, squeak. After flying for a few dozen miles, countless black bats suddenly appeared from the black rocks in front of them. These bats were as big as domestic dogs, with blood-red eyes and terrifying fangs. Sensing the presence of the 5 people, they swarmed over like a swarm of bees, forming an endless black mass. Not good. It is the Dark Shadow Ghost Bat. Qing Liu was shocked. The Dark Shadow Ghost Bat had a close relationship with the demons. At the same rank, even 2 or 3 beasts would not be able to compete with them. Thunder Devour. Lifting his Thunder Disaster sword up high, Yi Chen threw out a sword attack. A massive black thunder ball looked like a falling black sun, falling into the group of bats. Boom! The thunder light appeared, spreading out like a spider web. Hundreds of bats were killed under that sword attack, and a burnt smell spread out. Qing Liu and the other 3 also made their moves, attacking toward the incoming bats. But there were too many ghost bats. At first, it was just a dark mass, but later, it was like a black tide that covered the sky and the earth. Creak. A giant umbra ghost bat with a hint of red was hiding in the swarm of bats. It spat out a black halo towards Yi Chen and the others. This black halo almost ignored their protective true essence and shrouded over them. Danger. Yi Chen's perception was the best out of the 5. He was the first to react, moving 10 meters to the side and avoiding the black light. Qing Liu's speed was not slow either. Her body flashed once, and a blurry door appeared. The next second, she disappeared from where she was standing and reappeared hundreds of meters away. Although Yang Fengfeng and Murong Qingqing's speed was fast, but their reactions were a lot slower than Yi Chen and Qing Liu, so they were not able to avoid the black light. As for the leader of the mysterious peak, Lin Gaoming, it was even worse. He had been covered by the black light directly. Yang Fengfeng and Murong Qingqing were fine, but Lin Gaoming started to act strangely. The veins on his face were exposed, and both of his eyes were blood red. He looked like he had lost his mind, and a thunderous roar came out of his throat. He then turned around and jumped toward Yang Fengfeng. Yang Fengfeng was not completely unaffected. Perhaps it was because she was a blue phoenix, so she was not affected much. It was just that her aggressive qi was even more intense. Therefore, when Lin Gaoming jumped toward her, she threw out a punch instinctively, blowing him away. Yang Fengfeng only used 70% of her power in that punch, since she did not plan to hurt him. Unfortunately, Lin Gaoming, who had been blown away, fell into the swarm of bats. His whole body was wrapped up, layer after layer. Soon, he had been wrapped into 100 meters wide black massive ball. The black massive ball kept on spinning, looking extremely horrifying. Mysterious sky spell. Qing Liu saw that the situation was not right, so she threw out a palm attack. Boom! The black massive ball exploded, and Lin Gaoming's body was nowhere to be seen. He had probably been devoured until there were no bones left. Do not fight it head-on. Go down. Qing Liu's expression changed drastically. It was her first time facing so many shadow ghost bats, especially the leader that was hiding in the dark. Qing Liu had some understanding of that black halo before. It was the natural power of the dark creatures. When used on the dark creatures, it would increase their power drastically, making them not afraid of death. But when used on humans, it would make them lose their minds and go crazy. Lin Gaoming was not Yang Fengfeng, who had a beast body, nor was he Murong Qingqing, who had the perfect demi-demon bloodline, which made him half a dark creature. Therefore, out of the 3 of them, only Lin Gaoming was affected. Shoo! 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 The 4 flashed their bodies and flew into the forest. Shoo! 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 The bats chased after them like a black river. Moving through the forest, the 4 of them were much more relaxed. The forest was very dense, and the vines were everywhere. It was very difficult for the ghost bats to catch up with them in large numbers. As time went by, the number of ghost bats chasing after them decreased. They were either shaken off or devoured by the dangerous creatures hiding in the dark, without a sound. Break. However, there were dangers in the forest as well, and it was hard to defend against. In the dark, a house-sized bright red flower shot out of the ground, attacking toward Yi Chen on the left. Yi Chen's reaction was extremely sharp. A black sword qi sliced through the air, cutting the flower in half. A huge amount of acidic liquid poured out, making a sizzling sound. Right after that, a huge amount of killer vines attacked the 4 from all directions. In the underground environment, there was an invisible power covering them. The light was dim, and the 4's soul power could only reach out a couple hundred meters. The attacking speed of the vines was way too fast, and they could only react when it got close to them. It made the 4 panic, and their speed decreased drastically. The good thing was that there were only a few bats chasing after them, so they had finally gotten rid of one danger. Finally, the 4 made it through the forest and arrived at the swamp area. If it is not necessary, try not to go above the forest. Qing Liu was very sad. Lin Gaoming was one of the main pillars of the mysterious martial school, and he was only in his 90s this year. If he did not die, he might be able to reach half-step king warrior level in the remaining years, and it might even be possible for him to become a life and death realm warrior. Dying like this would be a huge loss for the mysterious martial school. Yang Fengfeng said, "If I had used a bit less power, or if I had just dodged it, it would have been fine." She was a bit blaming herself. She could have dodged it, but there seemed to be that evil qi inside of her that she had to explode. Qing Liu waved her hand and said, "This has nothing to do with you. The brutal halo's effect on the beasts is even more powerful than humans. Because of your noble bloodline, you were not affected as much. It is already very rare for you to be able to control your mind." Pausing for a second, Qing Liu said again, "The dead cannot be revived. From now on, we will have to be more careful." Among the remaining four, besides her, Yang Fengfeng, Yi Chen, and even Murong Qingcheng were all martial geniuses that Qing Xian thought highly of. It would be hard for her to accept even one of them dying. If all of them died, she would not have the face to go back to the mysterious martial school. "Senior, don't worry. We will take care of ourselves." Yi Chen knew that Qing Liu's burden was huge, so he said with determination, "All right, let's go." Qing Liu sighed, her eyes turning sharp. Damn it. Why are there so many shadow ghost bats? In the sky above the forest, a huge amount of shadow ghost bats were chasing after the Shadow King, forcing him into a very difficult situation. If it were just normal shadow ghost bats, he would not be in such a difficult situation. But the shadow ghost bat leader's brutal halo had affected him a lot. 100 shadow transformation. Forming a spell with both of his hands, the Shadow King split into 2, then 4. Hundreds of clones appeared all of a sudden before he managed to escape from the shadow ghost bats. After the Shadow King had left, the black rock on top suddenly cracked open. A black stone coffin fell from the sky, being held by a lot of shadow ghost bats. Crack, crack. The lid of the black stone coffin moved open slowly, revealing the pitch-black darkness inside. Within a couple of blinks of an eye, the coffin cover had been completely opened. That horrifying black chi poured out, forming into a ball in the midair. Pooh! The black chi disappeared, and a human-shaped shadow ghost bat appeared in the midair. Such a delicious smell of blood and flesh. This human-shaped shadow ghost bat was 3 meters tall. It was muscular, and its skin was a metallic black color. A pair of fangs were exposed, dripping with purple liquid. On its back was a pair of black cloud-like bat wings. There was a pair of claws on the wings, which were sharp and curved. Licking its lips, a lot of colors flashed through its eyes. There was violence, cunning, cruelty, evil, and madness. King. All of the shadow ghost bats surrounded it. Some of the leaders who were hiding in the dark also walked out, speaking in human language. "You guys are so useless. You can't even stop a few people." The human-shaped shadow ghost bat was the shadow ghost bat king. It had been sleeping for a long time, and would only wake up after being stimulated by the smell of blood and flesh. However, it was different from humans. Every time it woke up, it would take days to prepare. When the first batch of people came in, it had woken up, but when it finally woke up, a few batches of people had already passed by. The leader of the shadow ghost bat lowered its head, not saying a word. It was not their fault for being useless. In the first 3 batches of people, there were powerful half-step king warriors. "All right, since I am out, then no one will pass through this place." "Hey, someone else is coming." The shadow ghost bat king's body flashed once, disappearing from where it was standing. Dozens of miles away, 3 human figures flew at a high speed. All of a sudden, a huge amount of black chi appeared in front of them. "Hihi, stay here and be my blood food." The shadow ghost bat king's body appeared. Not good. It is a half-step king warrior among the dark creatures. There was a half-step king warrior among the 3 as well. He was shocked as he threw out a blade attack. Swoosh. The blade light sliced through the black chi, and the shadow ghost bat king's body was cracked open. However, it was only a shadow of the shadow ghost bat king. The real one appeared above the 3's heads. Go. A circle of black aggressive light spread out from the shadow ghost bat king's body, covering the 3 inside. Their protective Jin Yuan was almost useless. The aggressive light released by the shadow ghost bat king was 10 times more horrifying than the one released by the leader. Including that half-step king warrior, they all fell into a crazy state and started to attack each other. Soon, there was only that human half-step king warrior left. Die. The shadow ghost bat king jumped over and bit that half-step king warrior's neck. It sucked his blood and turned him into a dried-up corpse. Chapter 726. It's so delicious. The ghost bat king dropped the dried corpse in his hand and licked his lips, an intoxicated expression appearing on his face. How many years had it been? 50 years, 100 years, perhaps even a few hundred years? He had always been in deep sleep. He didn't expect that as soon as he woke up, a human half-step king would come knocking on his door. After absorbing the essence of this half-step king's flesh, he could feel a surging power awakening in the depths of his body. It was not far from its peak, provided that there were enough prey. As long as I absorb 3 more people's flesh, no one under life and death realm would be my opponent. Shua. The black chi shrunk as the ghost bat king disappeared into nothingness. On the ground, beside the entrance of the graveyard, dozens of people were gathered. Iron Hand King, what a coincidence to meet you here. The speaker was a half-step demi-beast with a pair of bull horns on his head. He was the half-step demi-beast king of the barbarian bull family, Hawk. The barbarian bull family was famous for their power. Even the royal sky tiger family might not be able to surpass them. Iron Hand King had dealt with Hawk before, so he laughed. So it's Hawk. I thought your barbarian bull family was not going to send anyone. Hawk let out a puff of white chi from his nose, for Extreme Emperor's graveyard has appeared. How could my barbarian bull family be indifferent? Iron Hand King, the situation down there is unknown. How about we join hands? That would be for the best. But before we join hands, we have to take care of some problems first. Iron Hand King looked at the skinny elder and the young man with the symbol on his forehead with an evil intention. No need for you to do anything. I, Hawk, will take care of them. The barbarian bull family was stubborn and arrogant, and Hawk was no exception. He had inherited the family's fine tradition. Reckless. The young man said indifferently without any expression. You dare to look down on me? Hawk could feel the young man's disdain. More and more white chi came out of his nose, and his eyes turned red like 2 dots of red light. Elder Fong, I will play with him. Don't get involved. The symbol on the young man's forehead flickered, and his connection with the heaven and earth became even stronger. Bull charge. Hawk didn't care what kind of confidence the young man had. As long as he was displeased, he would send the other party to hell. Hawk's muscles bulged as he threw a punch at the young man. The giant black bull phantom raised its hooves and galloped, opening its mouth to let out a high-pitched cry. 5 symbol palm. The young man put his left hand behind his back and struck out with his palm. Boom. The 5 runes stuck to the body of the giant bull phantom, causing a shocking explosion. You have some tricks up your sleeve, but it's not enough. The white gas that came out of Hawk's nose was incomparably hot, and there were even faint sparks. His arms shook, and the muscles on his body swelled once again. At the same time, the phantom of a demonic bull condensed in the void behind him. This bull's eyes were like copper bells, and the aura it emitted was supreme. Roar. The phantom of the demonic bull condensed, and Hawk's strength multiplied. His entire body seemed to have an inexhaustible amount of energy. He let out a loud roar, and the wind and clouds changed color, and the world became silent. Pure strength is enough, but your barbarian bull clan is too stupid. You don't know how to use your own strength. The glaze rune between his eyebrows flickered to the extreme. The young man stretched out his right hand, and pieces of twisted runes materialized and floated above his palm, looking magnificent and magnificent. Absolute strength is absolute strength. Anyone who looks down on my barbarian bull clan will pay the price. The horns on Hawk's head flickered with black light, and with 2 puff sounds, 2 bull horn phantoms shot out like 2 sledgehammers, and also like 2 sharp spears. Symbol shield. The young man's right hand moved, and the twisted runes on his left hand split apart. A part of them gathered on his right hand, condensing into an indestructible shield. Boom. Boom. The runes and the bull horn phantoms dissipated at the same time. Bull demon trampling the sky. Hawk's entire body rose from the ground. His hands opened wide, his left leg bent, and his right leg stretched out perfectly straight. Like a bull's hoof, he ruthlessly stomped towards the young man in front of him. With this stomp, with the young man as the center, a huge hoof print appeared. The air was even heavier than mercury. 100-symbol seal. The young man wasn't someone to be trifled with. He drew a complete circle in the air with his right hand and pushed it forward. Dozens of twisted runes converged into a strange mudra and blasted towards Hawk, who was in midair. The mercury-like heavy air immediately escaped in all directions as soon as it came into contact with the mudra. Boom! Like a comet hitting the earth, a huge sound exploded between the two. The crazy bull demon phantoms and the twisted runes clashed against each other, creating a soul-stirring scene. Mountain-breaking Iron Hand. Right at this moment, the Iron Hand King, who had been biding his time, suddenly made his move. His first move was the Iron Hand art that he was extremely good at. A huge iron hand with a metallic luster appeared out of nowhere, grabbing towards the young man. Once it was firmly grasped, even if the latter had bronze skin and iron bones, he would still be crushed into a bloody pulp. "Sir, do you think I don't exist?" The skinny elder raised his hand, and a crescent moon formed by the storm swept across the iron hand. With a cracking sound, the iron hand had lost 5 fingers, turning into a toothless tiger. "Chem. Interesting." The Iron Hand King looked at the skinny elder with a serious and surprised expression. Bull demon stomps the ground. Hawk was still fighting with the young man. Waves of fluctuations radiated out, and the ground was full of cracks. "Hawk, stop," the Iron Hand King said to Hawk. "The battle is not over yet. I will beat him." Hawk's eyes were red, and he was breathing heavily like an angry bull. "Did you forget why you came here?" The Iron Hand King knew that the people of the barbaric bull family were all stubborn. Persuading them was useless, and he could only let them know what was more important. Sure enough, after the angry Hawk heard this, he hesitated. He naturally knew the purpose of coming here, and if he did not do well, he would not be able to explain himself when he went back. Tien-er. The skinny elder did not want to fight to the death with the Iron Hand King and Hawk. It was not the right time yet. "Yes." The young man stopped and stood still. "I have never seen you two before, so I don't know your names." Although the skinny elder did not reveal much of his power, the Iron Hand King had a premonition that this person was very powerful. The skinny elder said, "Names are just a code. Forgive us for not being able to keep you company." After speaking, his body flickered and shot toward the entrance of the graveyard. The young man followed behind him. Hawk walked to the Iron Hand King and said fiercely, "If they hinder me, I don't mind killing them." The Iron Hand King squinted his eyes and said, "Don't look down on them. That old man is very hard to deal with." Yi Chen's group of 5 was very unlucky. Not long after flying above the swampland, they encountered 3 swamp beast leaders and a swamp king. The swamp beast's power was far more powerful than the ghost bats. Normal swamp beasts were equivalent to peak master level masters, and the swamp beast leader's power was several times more powerful than normal swamp beasts. In the master level ranking, it could be ranked in the top 5. Meanwhile, the swamp king's power was simply heaven-defying. Normal half-step kings would only be torn apart if they encountered it. After finally taking care of the 3 swamp beast leaders, Yi Chen and the other 3 realized that they could not get rid of the swamp king. The Swamp King was completely different from normal swamp beasts or swamp beast leaders. Its energy core did not seem to be inside its body, and its body could easily blend into the swampland and then appear in another direction. In other words, unless the 4 left the swampland in an instant, they would not be able to escape from the Swamp King's pursuit. Nirvana Flame. After reaching rank 10, Yang Fengfeng could already condense Nirvana pellets. These pellets had no other use other than to replenish the Nirvana flame. After swallowing 1 pellet, Yang Fengfeng had already recovered to her peak state. With a flap of her wings, the extremely sticky Nirvana flame burned toward the Swamp King. Swoosh! The Swamp King's left arm was instantly caught on fire, but it was useless. The arm automatically slid down and turned into a puddle of muddy water, losing connection with the Swamp King. Gold Fury. Yi Chen pierced through the Swamp King's head with his sword. The last one to attack was Murong Qingcheng. She quickly formed a spell and a dark light ball formed right next to the Swamp King. It continued to spin and absorb the Swamp King's energy. However, the Swamp King's energy seemed to be endless. Even after the dark light ball had absorbed enough energy, its chi did not weaken at all. You will not be able to kill it like this. We have to find its energy core. Qing Liu had slapped the Swamp King into muddy water. Seeing that the Swamp King had reformed dozens of meters away, she could not help but frown as she said to the other three. Murong, can you see it? Yi Chen asked Murong Qingcheng. Her demonic eyes had the power to see through everything. Let me try. Murong Qingcheng opened her gold demonic eyes, trying to find something. After a long while, Murong Qingcheng shook her head. I can't find it. He does not seem to have any energy core. No energy core? Impossible. Qing Liu said with certainty. Yi Chen thought about it and said, once humans reach the life and death realm, their Jin Yuan would be able to merge with their body and gain the undying body. Could the Swamp King have this kind of power? His energy core had already merged with the swampland. The undying body of a life and death realm warrior was still different from Yi Chen's undying body. Yi Chen's undying body could only be described as a simplified version, and its effect would be greatly reduced. Undying body? Qing Liu seemed to have thought of something and said with surprise, perhaps he has already reached the King Warrior level? Impossible. If he had reached the King Warrior level, then his power would be at least a couple of times stronger than it is now. He would be able to kill us within seconds. Yi Chen glanced at the swampland and said, Senior, this might not be impossible. After battling for so long, we can already be sure that the Swamp King has a close relationship with the swampland. Perhaps it is because of the swampland that he has the undying body. Besides that, this swampland is also the source of his power. As long as he does not leave the swampland, his undying body would be unbreakable. The undying body of a life and death realm warrior could be broken through, because each time he was wounded, he would have to spend a lot of Jin Yuan. Once his Jin Yuan was used up, the undying body would lose its meaning. Moreover, the power of the Swamp King had merged with the power of the swampland. Qing Liu nodded with a dark expression. That is indeed possible. But for us, this is not good news. He will never die in the swampland, unless someone destroys the whole swampland. They could not run away, and they could not kill him either. The four of them were stuck there. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.